3, 2, 1. What's up, guys? What's up, fellas? In this episode, we actually have one of our good friends on the show. I've known this guy for since like Little League days, for Little League days. I mean, a very long time. Had some fun times with him, good memories. He's actually currently a year away from getting his white lab coat. He's going to be a professional in the pharmaceutical industry, so congrats on that, a year away. And then at the same time, he's also cutting hair. So he's going to be a pharmacist, and then he's going to be a barber at the same time. So he's giving fresh fades for the low. So good for you. He lives on a farm, and he also thinks that his beard actually attracts the ladies. But again, this is my good friend. Is Dominic Dicochea. Welcome, man. Appreciate it. Love you, man. Love you. Been through a lot with this guy. But yeah, let's just get right into it. Let's get on to the first topic of the show. And it's actually kind of a little controversial talk. I mean, not really controversy, but it's kind of like a sensitive topic it's taken over like the entire country. Like this whole George Floyd things. I mean, he was 46-year-old man, born in North Carolina. I'm sure you guys all know the story. He moved to Minneapolis and was killed by an officer who had his knee on his throat for 9 minutes. I mean, 9 minutes while he was handcuffed on the ground. I mean, he was begging. You could hear like the sound of him just like almost begging for just a little bit of mercy. It
was the worst example that's been out. That the worst video out of all of them. That one is probably easily the worst example of, I don't know, police
brutality. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, dude. Like, If it was never caught on video, like none of this would be happening right now. And that's also sad at the same time because it happens a lot. I mean, and it shouldn't have taken George Floyd like for what happened, all these things in process. It shouldn't have taken George Floyd's life for these kind of riots and these kind of protests to happen. Like it should have already happened. Like all this thing should have been past us a long time ago. But here we are, man, with protests everywhere.
Yeah, I just don't know what, like you said, the video is just so sad. I just, pinning somebody down like that. I mean, there's 4 people. Yeah,
you for 9 minutes,
you have 4 people. It's like you really, I mean, cuff them. You could do what you got to do, but that's, it's just extreme force, and it's so unnecessary.
I mean, nobody deserves that, regardless of what he did. Nobody deserves that. Regardless, he could have, done something really bad. I mean, I don't even know what it was. Right? He was like,
it was like forgry of like a $20 bill, and it's something. But regardless, it's just like, come on, man. Like,
doesn't deserve
he's just
that.
Trying to go. He was at a grocery store, just trying to go get some groceries and just live his life, and it's just, man, it's just
sad,
it's.
Dude.
I don't understand like what was going on in all 4 officers' mind, just because it's, I wouldn't be able to look at something like that and be like, oh no, it's cool. It's like, nah, man, like get off him. It's been, all right, you got him cuffed.
Like,
Exactly.
What you need to do to resist him, to have him down. You already have him on the ground. Like,
yeah, it's just like it almost seems like it was purposeful. You know what I mean? It was on purpose. It's just. Yeah, it's sad. It really is.
And now, there's the protests coming out. Like, so, there's cities that are on fire, and it's almost like overdue at the same time. I kind of think of it almost like, I was telling you last night, like, I kind of think of it as almost like a volcano erupting. Like, so the volcano erupts, right? That was that whole George Floyd, the video that came out. And then the lava is just oozing down from it and just destroying the land, which is kind of what's going on right now. There's destruction, dude. It's destruction that's happening. I mean, there's companies that are being lost and getting on fire. So I think of that as almost like the lava just coming down, destroying the land. But then, what happens, like, the lava's done. There's no more lava that comes out. And then from this, hopefully some good, like, you see some flower sprouts from the ground and things like that. So hopefully some good does come out from it. And it seems like, it will, because there are, like you mentioned, you already talked about it a little bit before we got on, how there's already police officers and stuff, like, just, I mean, nobody says that it was the right thing to do for that to happen. Like, everybody's in agreement on that.
I think eventually, like you said, it does suck that, unfortunately George Floyd had to die as a result, but
it shouldn't be like that.
No, but I do think eventually, I'm saying eventually, I do think eventually that, some good will come out of it, because I think you see unity in a lot of the community and a lot of the police like officers, because I've seen so many videos of a lot of police officers coming out and and
protesting with them. They were out, like I saw them on the
take their badge off and just be a civilian, just be a normal guy.
Saying that all cops don't think this way, like even
exactly. And then saying like, hey, like I'm not this. They're saying, hey, these people should be in prison. These people need to be charged. And because I hate when people generalize and when people say, oh, all black people are thugs or all cops are. I think you need to take every person for who they are and what they stand for.
Like just in anything, dude. Like any work or any type of person, any ethnicity. There's good people and there's bad people. Just
you're
like
have your population of bad bad ducklings, in whatever certain pond you're looking at. That being said, I don't really agree with the riots, the protests. Absolutely, I just think that
destroying your own city and
personally, I just think that a lot of people are using this as an excuse to go out and kind of just be a hoodlum and go steal for their own benefit. And I think that they're using George Floyd's name for that, and I don't think that's right. I don't think he deserves that. I think. I don't think he'd want that. I read something about his girlfriend saying that, he loved the city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He doesn't want to see it in flames.
Yeah, exactly. That it's just, like I said, I think, peaceful protest is the way to go. And I think eventually, I just think eventually some good will come out of it. But I think the rioting is going to kind of combat that a little bit. And I think if we can just find a better solution.
Because it's almost like George Floyd's name has kind of been buried. Not necessarily not completely buried, but it's almost like pushed to the side a little bit. Like now the protests, and that's getting more coverage than actually George Floyd's story. Now it's like the protests and the things that are going on.
Well, one of the things that a lot of the topic points a lot of people have been saying is well, they're rioting because all this all the businesses they're destroying, the money, it doesn't equate to George Floyd. Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Material things don't equate to that, but they're too they don't correlate in my opinion. It shouldn't
be like together, like just because he unfortunately lost his life, like these mom and pop businesses, like forget Target, dude. Target's got enough money to rebuild and do whatever they need to do.
Starbucks,
but these mom and pop businesses that are on downtown somewhere that now sure, maybe they have insurance and they might be able to sell the place, but it's not going to be the same.
Well, even with insurance, a lot of these places probably do have insurance, but that stuff takes time, man. It takes time, and to get the money, and
and then not only
they're going to be out of business too. And they're already suffering because of coronavirus. It's just adding a lot more hurt to these businesses, and it sucks. Really is. I think it sucks.
And I'm sure I haven't seen it reported or anything, but I'm sure that there's still people like dying over like these protests and stuff. Yeah. Like, wouldn't you think that there's people that are losing their lives? I mean, we saw a couple of videos of I think I saw this video of this dude just getting like a rock thrown, like a big rock getting thrown in his face, and he's just like on the ground lying like almost lifeless. I don't know if he died or not, but it's like, man, dude, like it shouldn't be like that. But at the same time, it's like almost like, what else did you expect? Like going back to, let's say, Rodney King, like LA was on fire. Like when those things were going on, when Rodney King was still alive after he got beat. So, and then just this George Floyd is,
it's on another level because that was just LA, dude. I don't think there was any imagery of
now because social media is involved and everything.
The way I look at it is, two, world known activists, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, they both had two totally separate ideologies. Mm-hmm. MLK was for peace and all this stuff, and Malcolm X was more on the violent side.
I just think more like the Black Panther kind of thing.
I just think you look nowadays, and I think Martin Luther King is so much more renowned around the world, and I just think that his mark on the world is a lot bigger than Malcolm X's. I mean, that's not to say for everyone feels the same way, but
in terms of just like the general public. I mean, he's got Martin Luther King Day, like it's a holiday, but it's sad at the same time because both of them had to lose their lives for that. Like both of them got assassinated. Like
they did, but there was a quote that he said that really stuck with me, and he said, you can murder a racist, you can murder all this stuff, but you can't murder hate.
Yeah, it's always going to be around.
Is yeah, it was something, even Gandhi quote, an eye for an eye makes the world blind. It was something really bad. Did something really bad happen? Yes. But combating that with more violence and more hatred is not the answer, in my opinion. I just think, if you want to make waves, if you want to, do something, show people that you're, just because somebody else does something doesn't mean
that everybody
it doesn't change your values. So it doesn't change who you are. And I think people should stick to who they are and just, oh, they did this, I have to do that. Not necessarily,
like don't join the crowd or whatever. Like don't jump in.
It's, and I feel like a lot of kids these days too, teenagers, they don't really know even what they're getting into. But, I feel like a lot of people are encouraging them
like
to
easily persuaded just because of social media and because of those things.
Media, it's, fake news. I hate.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
You never know what to believe. And it's on, how you said, Democrats, Republicans, it's, both sides do it to the extreme, and it's just fake news is just on both sides. It's just I think it does a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
I don't know what to believe these days, and it sucks.
Yeah, you mentioned something right about like people that are the ones that are actually tweeting versus the people that are just like reading tweets. Like he mentioned something about like most people just go on Twitter to read tweets, and then it's like these people that are doing the tweeting are the ones that kind of want to grab the attention. They want
vocal ones. It's the 1 or 2%, like 99 or 98% of like Twitter users don't tweet. It's mostly like the one, like you see people who maybe have 100 tweets, and then you see dudes with 70,000, 60,000. They're just the ones that continue tweeting, and they're the ones that I want to say, like what you're saying about Democrat and Republican. The vocal ones are the ones that like pick sides or almost force everybody to pick sides. So they tweet something, and then they're either filled with comments that are all about him, like all supporting their point of view, or either comments that hate their point of view. It's never like neutral. It's always just you're either 100% in or
it's always not. Like pick a side. It's like you pick one side or you pick the other side, and that's it. Like there's no neutral ground. There's no gray area. Like it's just black and white, and that's it.
I think journalism too is just taking such a bad, like, because you'll see the headlines where it's obviously people get mad,
like clickbait.
Yeah, clickbait and stuff like that, and people are getting mad, and they're saying they're condemning this website. And I agree with it, but if you look at it in the the grand scheme of things, that tweet where they're condemning them got like 300,000 views.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's there's no such thing as bad publicity. So I honestly feel like these journalists are doing that on purpose, so it stirs up the pot. And if 300,000 people are reading that headline, guarantee you most of them are gonna be entering that site. And I think it's things just don't need to be.
I know, yeah.
As like, know how to put it into words. It's just don't give it so much attention. And
exactly, it's like you feed into it. Like we were talking about, I think last episode with Tyler, we were talking about how like the whole Trump thing and how Trump is able to grab so much attention, and the media at the same time is like feeding into it because they're covering that. But at the same time, the media is doing their job because their job is to get the clips. Their job is to get the views and the attention and that sort of thing. So they feed into each other, and it just creates this big monster. And now it's like people don't even know what to believe anymore. Like,
and to me, it's like I'll read something online. Context is key. Context is so key because somebody could take a little snippet and they can construe that little snippet into a whole different
whatever
story,
agenda that they want.
They want, and it's just it's very sad. It's. I mean, like you were saying, Trump says a bunch of stupid shit, that warrants a lot of like stupid headlines, but it's just like I said, to me, it's like I read a headline and I don't always, but like I always try and do research on it to make sure I know what's actually going on.
Exactly.
Like
you turn on CNN and you turn on Fox, and they're completely two different worlds, and yet
because they have two different narratives.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That doesn't make it okay. In both instances, it's not okay. Like journalism should be reporting the facts and not reporting a narrative.
Exactly.
And the sad thing is I don't think that it's ever going to change because they're making so much money off. It
garners the attention. Yeah, the attention.
Yeah, it's exactly, and it's just it's really sad. It is, but to me, there's no way around it. There's just something we have to. I think people need to realize.
Just open their eyes more. Just see it from like a different lens. Like you can still watch CNN, but just like have at the back of your mind that they are trying to put something into your head And it's like, you got to kind of like look at and decipher for yourself and be like, okay, what they're saying could be true, but they're kind of twisting it a little bit and, you know, trying to put their little, their seasoning, their spice in it just to kind of get you thinking a certain way or thinking that everything's negative.
Yeah. Or I mean, even like, you know, watch both, you know, see what they're both saying on the same topic. And, you know, a lot of times it doesn't even like really translate to just journalism, but like even in arguments, you know, when you hear two sides of a story, you know, a lot of times people are dramatic or they create falsehoods. And a lot of time reality will meet right in the middle in between those two stories.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so you can flip through one, flip through the other, and then make your decision and kind of meet in the middle somewhere and decide for yourself. And something that I kind of realized through these kind of tough times, through the pandemic, through coronavirus, through what's going on right now with the protests and everything, it's like, because we're based in Arizona, and our governor, Doug Ducey, put like a curfew, 8:00 p.m. curfew. That's when you got to go in. And so it's almost like these politicians always had that sort of power, but now it's like coming more in your face. Like now we're being told where to go, where we can go, where we can't go, what we can do, how many people we can see, you know, what time we got to be back home. So now like voters got to take that into consideration, because who do you really want under pressure? Because all these politicians right now are under pressure. Like right now, they're under pressure right now. So it's, you got to really decide who do you want controlling during these kind of states of emergencies and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, going back to your last show, I just wanted to put my little 2 cents in. You guys are talking about, you know, Charlemagne saying, you know, it's not about picking, you know, Biden or Trump or whatever. Mm-hmm. To me, I've always felt that, honestly, the president's position, like, yeah, it's an important, you know, position, but to me, I think people kind of blow it out of proportion and how much power it actually has. To me, the biggest power is Congress, and the fact that we don't have congressional term limits is always, to me, that's like the biggest thing. If we want change, that's how it's got to go. You know, you have presidential term limits, you need to have congressional term limits, because, you know, you had people in Congress for 40 years.
Like John McCain, how long was he in?
Sanders, dude. That's
Bernie,
Congress since the 70s.
And to me, it's like, it's okay. Like a lot of these guys want to be president too. And it's like, I mean, you've been in Congress for 40 years. What have you done? Like, what is it? What brings you, like, oh man, it's just a whole mess, you know, Congress and the parties. I think even the
term
parties
limits is such a crazy discussion, because the people that have to pass term limits is Congress, is the Senate.
It will never get passed.
Yeah, exactly.
Will ever want to relinquish that power?
It will. Yeah, it that's the thing that sucks. Is it'll never get passed, and that's just, you know. So I was going into the parties. You know, the fact that we even have parties, to me, is kind of ridiculous, because there's times where, you know, I agree with some parts of what one person says and then other parts with another person, but, you know, people vote
based on their party.
People will vote just because of their party, and
straight
I don't think
party
that's
ticket. That's what it's called. Straight ticket voting.
You know, it's sad because you have a lot of independents who, which is what I consider myself, because I like to see different views. Independents have almost zero chance of becoming president, because they don't get backed like a Republican or a Democratic.
I mean, people will just go through the ballot and just be like, oh, D,
and
or
Republicans
R.
and Democrats have shit set up in every single state, every single county, every city. They have their stuff set up in like the Libertarian Party. A lot of people wanted to vote for Gary Johnson in 2016, yet that dude never stood a chance. He was never going to get any type of traction the way that a Republican or a Democrat is, because it's like the same thing with term limits. It's just something in that system is just so, it's been established for 200 years that Republicans, Democrats, always kind of been like that, especially, I don't know, like I think that was the Civil War. I don't know. I don't want to go too back, but that's Lincoln, right? He was the party of Republicans, and then they beat the Democrats, who were the slave owners. And it just kept going. Like, I don't know. It's just ever since then, it's to me, it's, you know, going back all the way. You know, a lot of people hate the Electoral College.
But it makes sense.
I'm totally against parties, but I've always been for the Electoral College. And that's because, you know, people say, oh, the majority vote should win. Well, you know, people think of the United States as a democracy when in reality we're a republic.
Yeah.
And what that means is, so a democracy means a majority vote rules. Whereas a republic, they take, it's basically
like everybody
what
gets
the
their say. Everybody gets their
yeah. So it actually protects the votes of minorities, and I think it was like James Madison or something, and he understood with these factions, and it's you're reserving the right of the minority. So I mean, the best way I could say is imagine all the right-handed people in the world or in the United States wanted to kill all the left-handed people. Yeah. If you have the majority vote, you know what I mean, that it's going to be pretty obvious. I mean, that's obvious. Yeah, exactly. It's just, but you're reserving the right of the minority, and I'm not talking about like race or anything. I'm talking about the minority population, is whether you live or in that instance. So I don't agree with majority vote. I do think electoral college is important.
I agree too. You mentioned it too, right?
California and New York would be the ones electing the president.
Yeah, that's exactly, because they have the most populated.
Why would Wyoming matter? Why would anybody who lives there matter?
Exactly.
Yeah,
and it's
that's the thing is New York and California would be the ones that are picking the president. Yeah. Like Wyoming wouldn't have a say, or these New Hampshire, Idaho, like these smaller populated states. They wouldn't have a say at all because, California and New York are dominating all in terms of population, and they're both Democrats, right? They're both Democratic states.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, like you said, there's people say, oh, they're smaller populations, but I mean,
they still count.
You think of Wyoming and, California, the life of living is completely different. Yeah. So, I mean, in that instance, you're having, states where they have crazy populations dictating the lives of people in other states
that they don't even know. Like they don't even know their lives. They don't know what they're going through on a daily basis. They don't know what they have to deal with.
Exactly. So like I said, I've always been a huge supporter of the Electoral College, just based on those premises. Just that everyone deserves a right.
Yeah.
Everybody, regardless of religion. I'm not a huge religion guy, but I mean, if somebody, it doesn't mean I'm gonna try. I would never try and convince somebody that their religion is not
wrong,
or anything like that, because in the United States, I believe you have the right to do anything.
Yeah.
You have the right, if you want to believe in whatever religion you're in,
go for it.
Be for it. And if it makes you a better person, then I'm
as long as you're not hurting nobody,
all for it.
You can do what you want on your own, as long as you're not putting anybody else in danger.
Yeah, exactly. But I think everybody. When I say everybody, I mean everybody has so many rights, and people
and different experiences, different thought process. Like people are different. Like people on the inside,
so different. And it's how people are brought up, how people are raised, and you're gonna have some assholes. That
just like anywhere, just like wherever you go.
Like you said, regardless of the population, regardless of the race, regardless of whatever you're looking at, you're gonna have your bad seeds, your bad seeds. But.
Yeah, I mean,
it just kind of sucks that those are the ones, like with the riots, those, like, I'm assuming 99% of the protesters are all peaceful, are all there for the right cause, but the bad ones, the bad 1% are the ones getting the most attention, the burning buildings, the throwing Molotovs at cops, the tear gas, all that stuff. Like,
yeah, because you don't see peaceful protests on TV.
Mainly all the violence that's getting all the attention, and it sucks because if you're an outsider and you're looking at it, you immediately believe that all of these protests are violent. Everybody there is like kind of like what Trump was saying, like all of them are thugs, like they're either activists or thugs. Like that's what some people were saying. Like I think it was what you're saying about like CNN and Fox. CNN literally was showing like a burning building, and they were calling the people there activists. When you're watching it, it's like that's super violence. That's not activism. That's like.
Oh man, it just all goes to like fake news, because I mean I've seen reports where it's like the same newspaper in different areas, depending on their demographic, will change the headlines,
switch it around.
Yeah,
but it's the same newspaper.
Yeah, and then or like they'll use pictures from other stuff to make it look like things are worse, and that's why I think I mean, to me it's like people say, oh, journalism is the it's our freedom of speech. To me, I think that honestly, I mean, this is kind of over the top a little bit, but I feel like fake news is almost unconstitutional.
It should be,
in the sense that okay, these journalists have free speech, but at what point they have free speech until it starts infringing the rights of others, and I think heavily that these major journalisms they're infringing the rights of everybody. I mean, can somebody go and do like a bomb threat, is that freedom of speech? No. I mean, that's being super radical,
you're insinuating violence, and that's
exactly. So until that point, and I think, like you said, it's just a huge headache, and it's so sad.
The more you think about it, the worse it gets. Like the more you keep thinking about it and debating over it, it's like, man, this is bad. Like
it's all about money, which is, people.
The bottom line.
It's all about money, because though, controversy is what gets headlines. That's what gets viewers.
Yeah.
And that what ultimately leads to money.
And it kind of sucks, because I want to say that's why everybody's got like this pent up almost anger, because you listen to the news, you watch, you pay attention to Twitter, everything. It's almost all negative, like coronavirus, climate change. You're almost just hearing all this end of the world stuff, and then crimes and murders, and that's all that gets reported, and that's where all the attention goes. And you're a young person, and you're sitting there like, what hope do you have for like the rest of your life or the world? Like, you're just sitting there angry listening to all this stuff, and it's just, I don't know, it makes it just worse, especially right now, I guess, with COVID and being locked up. And then I don't know, it obviously was reported at the beginning that it was going to be a lot worse than it ended up being. But
well,
still,
I just think that, that's like a viewpoint a lot of people have. It's like, oh, we live in such a bad time. It's in reality, if you look at human history, we actually probably live in the I mean, if you look at it, there's those shitholes that are racist and stuff like that, but we live in the most progressive time period in human history. I mean,
we've definitely progressed from where we were.
Everything. I mean, if you wanted to live in a time period, it's now. I mean, there's shit happens. A lot of stuff is going bad, but I always try and look at the glass half full. And when I meet people, I like to trust people. And in my heart, I feel for the most part, people are good.
People are.
And people, and that's why I like to...
Most people are good.
Exactly. And, I mean, that's not to say don't, put all your guards down or whatever. But, I mean, just, be nice to that stranger. Be a good person. Just,
exactly.
It's going to come back around. It's
just try to be genuine. Just be a real person.
Yeah, and, it's going to come back. And like I said, don't put your guard... there are, people that'll take advantage of you. But in my heart, I truly believe that most people out there are good. And most people don't want any violence or any hatred, and it's it sucks that it's that small population kind of
it just ruins it all. And I think I learned somewhere, I can't remember where, maybe I read it, but it was like, from where things were and where things are now, like crime as a whole has gone down. Like crime as a whole is down, but in terms of like reporting crime and seeing crime on TV, that has gone up.
Yeah.
So that kind of confuses people to think like, oh, we're really bad right now. When in reality, like you said, we're at the best point in time that we can be. Like we can't jump to the future. We can just look behind us, like look in the past, and the past is definitely worse than where we're at right now. But the reports and everything, they keep coming up bad. And like you said, I can't remember what you said about, it's almost like our nature, like we're almost like, we've almost evolved in a way of where we just kind of want to hear the negative things, because what was it? I can't remember what.
Always like, I don't know, you've always, ever since the beginning of humans, or I don't know, like cavemen, all you worried about was negative stuff. Like what's going to kill you, sicknesses, illnesses, like what can I eat? What can't I eat? What's causes me to become like in danger, I guess, worrying about your neighbor or war. Like it just, everything's like focused on just the negative. The positive is still there. It's great.
But we almost just like pay attention more to the negative because everybody wants to stay alive for as long as they can. I mean, not everybody, but
that's what survival. Yeah. That's a good
like
point.
everyone's
like,
trying to just survive. So
be scared to survive. Like you have to be scared of your surroundings and understand that they can whoop your ass. Like nature doesn't give a fuck, dude. Everything can kill you.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like, so relevant right now is like the coronavirus. And, I've seen a bunch of like or not even memes, but like, pictures. I don't want to call
floating
it
around the internet,
but it's like the, they're comparing it to like the 1918 flu and all this other stuff. And it's like, look at the health standards back then to now. It's
exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just,
they probably didn't even have soap, bro.
I heard they were prescribing people like whiskey and cigarettes, like to go solve.
So that's the thing is people. Heroin. Heroin was a drug one time. That
right? Cocaine.
Well, cocaine. I mean, technically, cocaine is still. I mean, I don't want to get into it, but cocaine is a Schedule 2 drug. cocaine is a Schedule 2 drug. Tell me why marijuana is a Schedule 1 drug.
Yeah, right.
That's I mean that's a whole
it's so weird. Like federally,
it doesn't make any sense because the DEA, the DEA defines a Schedule 1 drug as something that has high abuse potential, which marijuana does have high abuse potential, but they say it has no medical like relevance or use. And that it's like, what?
It's everywhere.
I mean,
CBD.
You have the fake news where it says, oh, it cures cancer. No, it doesn't cure cancer. But I mean, it's a great remedy for people with cancer because it causes hunger. I mean, there's a lot of
sleep. Like it helps you sleep a little bit too.
Helps you sleep. There's a lot of like, different
health benefits
aspects. Yeah. I mean, even in class, they've told us that, there's people that want to, not only just because, you get the, your euphoric, your high feeling, from it, but there's other receptors that marijuana hits, and there's actually a really great potential drug intervention that we could use with like I don't want to get too technical, but it's with CB2,
just go.
with like CB2 receptors, which is a receptor that marijuana hits, and you can hit that without hitting the CB1 receptor, which causes your high. So in class they tell us
you can get the benefit without getting the high from it.
Yeah, and it's for pain, and there's I actually did a review on this study that showed that when you have like inflammation, so like if you get a pain, get a cut or something, or you have neuropathy, your body naturally upregulates the DNA for CB2 receptors. So you naturally
have it in your body. You have
an increase in those receptors, which makes it even more likely that marijuana actually help for pain. But a lot of times the research isn't done because of the restrictions, because of the the negative
that makes perfect sense.
And it's
there's just
so
a negative
ridiculous.
stigma around like marijuana. It's just like
such a negative stigma, and it's because it's bad. Oh, it's no, it's not. It's not. I mean, 1,000 times better than cocaine.
Just like anything though, like you can abuse it. Like too much of anything is bad.
I mean, it depends on what you define as a drug. I mean, caffeine's a drug.
Yeah.
Nicotine's a drug.
Yeah.
And to me, alcohol is a huge.
Alcohol is, you could go to Walmart and buy a big old bottle of booze and kill yourself in an hour,
and
you're done.
To me, it's long-term alcohol use is way worse than marijuana use.
Your liver's gonna get destroyed.
And the only hiccup I see in completely legalizing recreational use for marijuana is how do you tell if someone's under the intoxicated?
Yeah, it's hard.
Because
driving.
Yeah, exactly. Because people say, "Oh, would you rather have a high driver or a drunk driver?" Well, in reality, you don't want either.
That's true.
Yeah, if you're putting me in that, the worst of two evils, sure, you don't want a drunk driver, but both of them are, both people are intoxicated, and you have a way to tell if somebody's been drinking. There's no objective way to tell if somebody just was token up.
Nothing's firm.
Everything's
especially
subjective.
With eating it now, like you could eat a big old brownie, and how the hell are you gonna?
And you can't smell. There's no trace.
Yeah,
like nothing like
that's
that.
a good point.
So that's, to me, that's the only. I mean, but that's for recreational use. For medical use, I don't think there's any excuse why it shouldn't be legal, because it's
just that seizure stuff. Like those kids that are having a remarkable difference from when they get given marijuana, and then there's a lot of stories of people who I think live in like Texas, for example, where marijuana is highly regulated and there's no medical, nothing, like it's completely outlawed. So they have to go to Oregon, Washington, or California and go live up there just so their kid could have this medicine that should be readily available everywhere. Like, why do they have to move an entire state just to almost like keep their daughter or son alive?
I think it goes to it just goes to show, you mentioned CBD. Nobody really knows. I mean, it's not, so CBD is not, it doesn't have any THC, but I was talking about the receptors. CB1, causes your high. CB2 is for pain or whatever. But CBD doesn't hit either of those receptors. So they really don't know if there's like maybe more receptors. They don't know what CBD is.
That's strange.
So yeah, but it's, to me, it's like, if it was legal, we would know this stuff.
Yeah,
the research would be implemented. And, I've had, people ask me, consultations for CBD and stuff. And the way I look at it is it's kind of like ibuprofen in a way. It's going to decrease inflammation. You're not going to get your high. But I just think that there's
it's almost like a Band-Aid, right? Like you just put like a little Band-Aid on it. Like it'll help in the moment, but it's not gonna really like reverse what's going on with you or cure it.
I mean, and like you said, it's not gonna get you high. It's not gonna do any of that stuff. But I mean, CBD does have its, and
you see more stores popping up like at least in Arizona where we're at, like there's little stores that are popping up here and there, CBD stores. Like I think I saw one at a Bashas, like just like a little section of just CBD there.
Well, so what I think is kind of crazy too is that I try and counsel patients on is that all that stuff is not regulated by the FDA. So
just be careful.
It's not regulated by the FDA, meaning that just because it says on there that it has a certain amount of this or a certain amount of that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're getting, because supplements, it's considered a supplement, and supplements are not regulated by the FDA.
They're not looked at. They're not double checked or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it kind of falls under that umbrella.
It's up to whatever the CBD companies, like up to their discretion. If they want to put whatever it is, like that's what they're gonna put.
Yeah, and
no one's checking them.
They did studies where like most of them actually were not accurate on what they were intaking.
See, that's bad too. Like it shouldn't be like that either. Like they're almost like. They're making things worse because they're almost like lying and saying that it's this beneficial, it's got this sort of things in it, but when in reality it doesn't. And then it's like it goes back to like, oh, we don't really want to trust you, and then it comes back to the negative stigma of just like it's a drug, it's weed,
exactly.
It's looked at.
If you're making a product too, I think you should be truthful with what it does. Don't make any. And
as a company, that's what you want. You want to see how it is in the market in reality, not how, not manipulate it and kind of twist it. Like you want to be judged in the real world. You want to see how your product actually fares compared to other products, other, competitors and things like that. So like, that's something that we talked about a couple of times. We're like, yo, dude, should we just like make a couple email accounts and then just follow us and subscribe to us? And it's like, nah, dude, it's you're manipulating it. You're
only worth your word in this world,
you're messing with your stuff up. Like you don't actually know how you compare to other people that are out there and things like that. So it's like, it's not worth it. You want to be genuine, you want to be real, not only to other people, but to yourself too. You're lying to yourself, saying, we have this many subscribers when half of them are fake. They're bots that you created and you followed for yourself. And I'm sure there's plenty of people.
Are they though?
That are doing. Well,
I don't want to say anything.
To be determined.
But you're definitely right that like all this stuff, if it was all legal, like nationwide, the potential, like you're saying, we haven't seen it yet. So if it's all legal and more accessible for intellectuals and people who want to study it, what is that, like botanists maybe, or just everybody, I guess chemists, everybody, biochemists, everybody can just dip their hand in there and discover a lot more things. But since it's pretty much, I think, still a felony, right? Like federally illegal.
Well, that's what it's kind of crazy is, people say, oh, it's legal in Colorado, it's legal in these states. But so technically, federally in every single state, marijuana, it's a controlled one. Technically, I mean, granted, how the likelihood of a federal officer pulling you over and
like a DEA agent coming up to you.
Yeah, so the states where they have the quote unquote legalized marijuana, it's the states recognizing, or they're basically saying, we're not going to enforce. Yeah. We're not going to enforce these federally regulated.
But if a federal agent does come by and
but I mean, you got to take that with a grain of salt. Exactly. Like I said, how often? I mean, I don't think I've ever been pulled over or been by a federal officer. But like I said, just take it with a grain of salt, because technically it is still illegal in all 50 states.
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I actually was reading up on it, and originally why. I'm not fact checking or anything like that, but this is what I read. It was an article, and it was saying that marijuana was first brought from Mexico into Texas, and that a lot of the white, a lot of the white people were saying that it made them like all these crazy details that weren't even
like when the reefer madness and stuff was going around. I think I read somewhere too where it was this like that's where the name changed from. I think originally they called it Cannabis, like it was originally called Cannabis. And then it switched over to marijuana because through the reefer madness, I think it was in the 20s, right? Sometime around then, 1920s, where they kind of were like, oh, this is a plant coming from Mexico. So and that's where they kind of changed the name marijuana, and it sounds like a kind of like a Hispanic or like a Spanish kind of name, right?
And
marijuana.
It came with the stigma, right? That it was driving Mexicans crazy. It was driving like black people crazy.
Yeah,
I bet you it was like it makes them rape white women or something like that.
Yeah, and it's
it builds a stigma. Like over time, it just becomes
And like I said, cigarettes are legal. How many deaths do they cause? Alcohol legal. How many deaths?
Plenty.
Marijuana is really like the safest drug out there. And in pharmacy school, I've actually they told us straight up, the best medicine is no medicine. But I mean, if I'm going to take a medicine, I would rather
It's natural, right? I mean,
people
are able to manipulate it.
It is exactly. But a little side topic. People say, "Oh, I don't like to take drugs because they're not natural." 50% of all marketed drugs are actually derived from natural processing. So I always, just a little keep that in mind. Right. I mean, like I said, don't take a medicine. The best medicine is no medicine, exactly. But
unless you have to,
it's it just to me, it's just the logic isn't there. Why it's illegal? I mean, it's just because the DEA and the federal. It's
just that stigma, dude. That's what. And at the same time, like you can. It's not only just like a smokable thing or something that you can eat. It's also a lot of like paper. You can create paper and stuff like that, or
hemp, right? That's what the
hemp. You can create like lotion or
really
whatever.
Strong paper. I heard a super strong form of
and
paper.
And it's biodegradable.
Yeah,
you could just it's just on the ground and it'll just get into the ground later.
It's such a huge economic boost.
Yeah.
I mean, billions have been.
Look at Colorado. I mean, Colorado's getting extra money.
Yeah, I mean and you know what I mean. It's like do something good for it. In states that are against it, but have really poor education systems, it's like, why don't you just legalize marijuana and fund with educate? You know what I mean? It's like if you're worried it's going to be doing something bad, then at least make it.
But then people don't want to be like, oh, this school was created because of weed money. It's just because of that negative stigma.
But once you erase that negative stigma, things become okay,
and more research comes up.
Exactly,
and everything like that.
He was saying, like alcohol tax. I'm sure alcohol is taxed pretty heavily, and I wouldn't doubt it that there are schools who used alcohol tax money to fund, I don't know, building their new gym or something. And exactly, it's stigma, dude. You're okay with having a gym that was built because of booze money, but if it was weed money, it's definitely true. Yeah, it feels like for a lot of places for sure different.
Well, the other thing too is, I mean, don't quote me on this, but marijuana, I mean, it's readily available, even though it's still illegal. You know what I mean? So it's just like
people are going to do it regardless of whether it's legal or illegal.
And you're kind of holding back the scientific aspect of it. You're holding back the economic growth of it.
That should be like the forefront of it all. Like we should be researching more into it. We should be noting the benefits and seeing when things go wrong. Note that too.
Well, so America has a huge opioid pandemic.
Fentanyl, especially like right now.
Well, so what's crazy is fentanyl was actually made in the 60s. It's people think it's brand new. It's not. It was made in the 60s. It's just it's extremely potent, and that's why it's so deadly. Is because if you just take a little bit, I think the the analgesic dose is like 2 milligrams or something like that. But I mean. Yeah, people, fentanyl is this illegal drug. Fentanyl's at pharmacies. Fentanyl's at, you know what I mean? It's all about how much you're ingesting.
Exactly. But, just like with anything, right? Or if you get it off the street, if you get it off the street, like you don't know really if that's fentanyl or.
But now, exactly. It's being cut in everything. Coke, pills, oxy. Like if you don't get it directly from like a pharmacy, you have no idea what it's been cut with. That one of my professors when I went to school said that this is the era of like for drug users, it's the most dangerous era for people because you don't know what the hell you're taking.
Well, I mean, I totally agree. But so going back to like comparing it to other drugs or marijuana specifically. Opioids, I think, caused like 80,000 deaths in the United States last year. And I actually had to do a project on opioids. And there were, for every person in the United States, there was enough prescriptions for everyone to have 1.5 prescriptions of opioids. And you're telling me, I mean, granted, people have multiple, but you're telling me that many people have it. And, it kind of goes into the point that, we really don't have a lot of medications that are used for pain. I mean, opioids are really, I mean, you have anesthetics, which work obviously, but those are more in surgical sites.
Yeah.
I mean, you have opioids, you have, you know, some muscle relaxers, which don't really always, you know, don't have the greatest efficacy towards, you know, chronic pain or stuff.
Yeah, they're just used for recreational purposes.
Well, no, I mean, you have like gabapentin, you have other medications that are used for more like neuropathy, whereas opioids are used more for like, you know, get hit or you get
like pain.
Chronic pain. So there's just different types of pain that they work for. But I mean, you really have opioids and, you know, Tylenol, and then ibuprofen and aspirin, like, or NSAIDs like as they're called. So we really don't have a whole lot of options. And when you kind of play into that, it's like, okay, so in school we learned that, you know, there could be a great intervention with marijuana with the CB2. It's not only are you, you know, creating all this economic growth and all this stuff, but if you legalize marijuana, you're incorporating, you know, the science, the research aspect towards it too. And if you do find a suitable, say you find a great, you know, drug for pain that can replace opioids, you're saving 80,000 lives a year.
Not only that, you're helping people up a little bit more. You know, more people are being healthier, and
it's not as addictive, and it's not going to blast you into like cloud 9. It's not going to free like Oxy or a Vicodin or something. It's not going to blast you off.
And I'm sure it's cheaper, you know, more natural. And I mean, like you said, like you brought it back. You brought it back.
Opioids, it's from opium. So I mean, just because something's natural doesn't necessarily mean it's good for you. You know what I mean? There's how many plants can kill you. So just because it's natural doesn't necessarily mean it's good for you. But opioids, you know, they cause death because they kind of slow everything up and they stop breathing. People die from opioids from respiratory depression.
And that's probably a horrible way to go too, dude.
Well, I'll tell you the truth, they probably don't even know because, you know, they probably comatose out first and then they stop breathing.
Just like black out.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, if you know somebody who's, you know, they think is, you know, just kind of, it's hard. It is hard.
Yeah,
I mean,
it really is. They're trying to help though, like with the halfway homes and things like that.
Yeah. What do you think? Like, do you feel that drug addiction is like a disease, or do you feel like criminal? That's exactly what he was saying.
I think it becomes a disease, but I think to start off with, you make the decision. You know, you don't, when you first start taking said drug, you don't have addiction, and you are, you know, when you take something, you know what you're taking. You know what you're doing. I mean, eventually, I think it does become a disease because I think, you know, once you get in that cycle, it's almost impossible to come out without any help. Mm-hmm. So I think it definitely becomes a disease, but I also think that person, whoever's, you know, does have addiction, I think at some point they need to say, you know, I need help for sure.
I messed up. Take the responsibility. Take the ownership.
Those clinics in like San Francisco where they give you needles, like clean needles, so you can take them and you have a comfortable place to shoot up your drugs. Like those places are very conflicting because let's say they want to put it in your neighborhood. They are helping drug addiction. Like if you view it as a disease, obviously I think you're like, yes, those clinics help people get through addiction. They give them clean needles so they don't have to share. They give them a comfortable spot so in case they do overdose or anything, they'll be immediately taken care of. But then again, other people believe that this is a criminal problem and you're giving those criminals a place to go shoot up their drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's almost like creating more money, right? Criminal activity.
Sure those clinics are, I want to say, privately funded as of right now. But if they become more commonplace, I'm sure tax money will be used to pay for it. And of course, people are not going to be happy because it like, let's say on the streets, like obviously if you have a bunch of crack or heroin addicted or even opiate people who are all over the streets, like needles and stuff. Like I heard in LA highways, they tell people never to walk under those underpasses because there's needles that can poke you, stick you, and they're full of like all those diseases, HIVs, Hep C, and it's just like, I don't know, like if you have those clinics set up around communities, more and more drug addicts, I assume, will go over and use that and not necessarily dump their needles in the street but I don't know, like it's so conflicting because it's.
So this is my 2 cents. I 100% support the clinics you had mentioned.
Halfway homes and stuff?
Yeah, and the reason being, you said that a lot of needles, you know, contain, so HIV is actually, you know, if you have unprotected sex with somebody who has, you know, AIDS, the chances of you contracting the virus are crazy low. However, if you're getting that needle through
it's like 90%.
I think it's like yeah. I don't know if it's 90, but it's definitely up there. It's
a huge gap, ginormous gap. I heard about that stuff.
So, and that's actually one of the main reasons why I'm for these homes is because you're giving them clean needles. So you are decreasing the rate of all these infectious viruses and all these, needle-stricken, diseases, and
I'm sure it decreases death too. Like it decreases death.
It does. But I mean, so you talk about taxpayers and all this stuff. Well, how many people are taking opioids unsupervised and they go to the hospital and they don't have insurance or they don't have anything like that? So I mean,
another
you know what
point.
I mean? And it's people with HIV. A lot of times. A lot of these people don't have insurance. They don't have. Exactly. So I mean, it's gonna. To me, it's gonna repay for itself eventually, and you're decreasing the rate of all these infectious diseases. Not only with that said group, but I'm sure people have sex with people who are not taking these drugs. So I mean, you're not only decreasing the rate of that, but you're also decreasing the rate in the general population as well.
That's something I didn't even think of though, like about the hospitals and everything.
Dude, HIV, and I think it was also Hep C, is gonna have like a massive spike because of that, because mainly drug users and stuff. It's not necessarily sexual.
Well, nowadays, actually, I mean, not to say that HIV isn't like a crazy huge deal, but now we have drugs that are. It's actually called ritonavir, which is. It's made.
It does a lot.
It does a lot to where you really should, if you're on ritonavir and you're taking it every day as it's prescribed, as it says, you really shouldn't die
or get worse.
It shouldn't progress. It shouldn't progress to AIDS because I mean it's pretty effective. But I mean,
because it starts off at HIV and then it gets into
AIDS is a disease state. HIV is like the cause of it. So
it's like the actual viruses and HIV is like the actual virus.
What the virus is doing is it's actually infecting your
immune system, right? You're like
your T cells. It's either your B or T cells. So your B cells recognize antigens. Your T cells kill the antigen. So it's one of those. I want to say it's the T cells though, the killer cells. So I mean, what HIV does is it basically totally kills your immune system. So I mean, you don't die of HIV. You die
of all the infeccious diseases.
You die of something else, but it's you weren't able to combat that.
Fight it.
Yeah, your body can't fight it. So. Like I said, I'm 100% for those groups. Oh, and I remember what I was going to say. So those groups also can be used as a means of intervention for saying,
they're not there to support your addiction. They obviously want the end goal is to get you off that.
You use that as a junction. Use it as a junction to say, hey, I realize you have addiction. You refer them to, you refer them to specialists. You refer them to, a whole bunch of things. You teach them, especially with heroin and stuff. It's you can cause overdose, but there's actually drugs. It's called naloxone, and you can watch videos. I mean, people are in a deep comatose. They look dead,
passed out, pretty much.
You inject this, and I swear to God, it's like a magic. It's like a magic.
Narcan, right? Is there a difference between that?
So that's like the brand name. So naloxone, naloxone.
So
I've heard it's bad though. Like I've heard, like for example, like you've heard of like the Juice WRLD, him dying.
Yeah.
I've heard like in that class, I took like a substance abuse class, and she said that Narcan is good, but it can come back. Like the effects of Narcan only last for a little bit, so you like immediately need to go get help. So they're aware of, right? Like you were saying, the receptors, like the Narcan takes over the receptors from whatever drug you took, but it will fade away and you'll go back into overdosing, right? I think that's what happened to Juice WRLD because he took all those drugs. They gave him Narcan and he came back to it for a little bit. But if you don't immediately get help, or I'm not sure, like I almost feel like some of those people are already done because they've already ingested. I'm not sure, right? I have no idea, but the Narcan, like that would just suck though. Let's say you're like overdosing, they give you Narcan, you come back to it, and then it's just like.
So the way it works is, so opioids, they heroin, Vicodin, anything that's an opioid. The way it works is it hits your mu opiate receptors. So it activates. Let's say it activates your mu opiate receptors. Well, what Narcan is doing is it's basically competing for that same spot.
Oh, okay.
So say it's like a lock and a key.
I see.
Say your opiate is like the key, and it's unlocking this lock.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Narcan is kind of a better key where it'll kind of push the opiate off that receptor, but it doesn't activate it like opiates do. So it totally reverses it. It holds its place basically. But as you said, Narcan can wear off. So that's why if you see somebody that's, in overdose and somebody gives them Narcan, you call an ambulance because they will, once that Narcan wears off, they're going right back to how they were. So, and that's why, I kind of lost my train of thought there.
That's just so crazy, dude. Like that just seems it obviously Narcan's there to help. They do help. I'm assuming like the odds
it's a life-saving drugs.
Yeah.
I'm sure plenty of people have been saved because of that drug,
exactly. But man, like it just seems so wild that you can take like some kind of substance and then you're back to it. And all of like, man, it just,
it's like,
then again, those clinics help, dude. If they give you those then they're there. Like if they see something, they'll probably give you the Narcan and then immediately, like you said, call help or.
Well, so the clinics do, you got to be careful though leaving the clinics because if somebody relapses, they're at an extremely high,
like chance
to OD because when people relapse, they're saying, oh, well, I'm going to go back to the same dose of whatever drug that they were taking when their body, when they were taking that regularly, they had built up tolerance.
Mm-hmm. And that makes perfect sense, too.
And so it builds up tolerance. And I remember in class they were telling us that an average like person that uses regularly, abuses, their dose would kill us. Because their body is built up that tolerance. So if we were to take that dose that somebody else took, we would die. But their tolerance is not something that sticks with you. Your body does not, it goes down. So.
It's just like anything, like working out. Or exactly. You work out for so long, and then you're gonna lose the muscle if you don't work out, and then you try to do the same thing that you were doing before, and you're not gonna be able to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so. That makes perfect sense too. We can move on. You want to keep talking about that?
No,
I know that you wanted to put in your 2 cents about completely switching topics, dude. Completely going from we went in for about an hour on like some really like good topics, like some serious, like serious topics and stuff. But I know that before you hopped on, you wanted to mention that you wanted to get your 2 cents on the GOAT debate. I know that because we had a debate earlier about Michael Jordan, LeBron James, who's the greatest basketball player of all time. I think we've done a couple. We've gotten comments and stuff. I know a couple people that are like, man, you guys are wrong, or you guys didn't think about this angle, or whatever it is. So I wanted to touch on that because I know that that's something that you did want to mention and talk about. So I'm ready for it. I don't really know what side you're on, actually. I don't know whether you want to go with Michael Jordan or you want to go with LeBron. I'm not sure, man. So this is all new. This is a surprise.
Either way, you're getting shit on. Either way.
this guy's crazy.
So first and foremost, I'm actually going to go a little bit into, I'm going to hype LeBron up a little bit.
Okay.
Just because I am going to go in on this fool after I hype him up, because he does deserve the utmost respect.
Yeah.
He, in my opinion, is easily the second best player to ever have played. But I think what I respect most about LeBron James is who he is off the court.
Yeah. And then,
especially in comparison, Michael Jordan, he's
a better person, period.
1,000 times better.
Probably a better teammate to be around.
Exactly. You see what he's done. He built that school for the kids. He donates. He's aware. He's, and especially with all the hype that he got coming out. Ever since he was a teenager, he's handled it all so well. Dude. Yeah, pressure. He's been with his wife never had any problems.
He's squeaky clean, dude.
No DUIs, nothing. No domestic.
You don't find him cheating on his wife, nothing.
So, and then the fact that, what he's done is incredible.
It is.
It is incredible. And this is a lot coming from me because I used to be a LeBron hater. I did. I'm not going to lie. I used to be.
On the cheat? When he was on the Miami cheat, bro?
To me, I really didn't care about the teams he was on or the whatever. To
like
me,
the decision
he would always,
or whatever?
That's his decision. I just didn't like to me, he would always complain so much about every little thing. And I'm like, dude, like.
He's always on the refs and stuff like that. Yeah. So it just makes him look like a little crybaby. And his post-conference game, or his post-conference interviews and things like that, where he like talks. He's straight up, dude. He'll straight up be like, oh, I'm the greatest player in the world. Look, I'm the greatest.
Or he's down like 3-0 to the Warriors or something.
Well, it's like, and then so a lot of people like their, claim to fame is why he's the greatest is kind of, just doesn't sit well with me because I think it's ridiculous when he says that he hasn't never been on a super team, and it's like, bro, it's like
he almost created it.
To me, you could say probably the Celtics.
With Ray Allen, and Kevin Garnett.
You'd probably say they did, but he definitely has been on a super team before.
He's been on a couple.
Dwayne Wade, when he first joined, Dwayne Wade was definitely in his prime. He's 7 years in the league. Chris Bosh, who was a beast on the Raptors. He was still, exactly. Chris Bosh is Chris Bosh.
Yeah, do you think he's going to be a Hall of Famer? Just a quick side note.
I think he will, but I think he will, and I think his condition will actually kind of help him a little bit because they're going to
passion of how he know the potential.
Exactly,
because he could have played a couple more years.
He for sure would have been
exactly.
A Hall of Famer.
So I think he will. But you have Dwayne Wade, you have Chris Bosh, and then LeBron. How is that not a super team? Then Mario Chalmers was pretty clutch, dude.
Yeah,
Ray Allen was a little bit later, but still, right? You know what I mean?
One of the probably the best shooter of all time.
Other than Steph,
Yeah, then he. Oh man, it's just. And honestly, I feel like even his Cavalier teams are super teams.
Kyrie, Kevin Love.
Kyrie Irving.
Yeah,
he's a beast. Kevin Love. He maybe wasn't what he was, but he was still pretty damn good on the Cavaliers. And
he did what he had to do.
Yeah, so that to me, that topic has never been for up discussion. It's like, well, you want to talk about, he went up against the greatest dynasty of all time. It's like, yeah, but if you look at it, to me, I think Draymond Green is crazy overhyped. Yeah, I think if he wasn't on the Warriors, you say,
he's overrated for sure.
He's good, but if he was on any other team, I feel like he might not even be an all-star.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Steph Curry. Yeah. He's a beast, dude. Yeah. You can't. I really like Steph Curry. He's not my favorite player.
He's changed the game.
100%.
Completely changed it.
And then Klay Thompson, a monster.
Yeah, he doesn't even dribble, dude. He doesn't even dribble. He just shoots
exactly. The way. Their dynasty, I felt like was so.
Yeah, like
honestly, a lot of people, they get a lot of hate, but you got to respect what they did because they drafted all those guys.
That was what I was about to say.
They built that bench,
I was about to say that.
Except for KD.
Well, that was a little bit later on.
Prior to KD.
But in that 5 year, those spans, dude, you're exactly right. They obviously drafted everybody except for KD. And in that span, I can't remember what the stat was. I think they were 5 games away from winning 5 championships in a row. Or was it 4? How many times did they go consistently?
I know that so they won 3, right? They won 3 championships.
In 2015, and then the LeBron coming back 3-1, and then 2017, 2018, and then the Raptors. Yeah. So that's 4 right there? So they were, I think it was 5 games away from winning 4 championships in a row. Because they should have beat LeBron. Obviously it happened. But let's say they beat LeBron, and then the Raptors are, injuries. And I hate that injury argument because in 2015 the Cavaliers came in super injured.
Yeah, because I think Kyrie busted his knee, right? He
Kevin
broke his
Love
kneecap.
Wasn't playing. So I don't buy that injury argument because in 2019 Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant were not on the team and they lost, but. They were close, dude. 4 championships in a row. That's wild.
Well, you had, Andrew Bogut, I think was a huge. Oh yeah. When they lost, is because he went out. Yeah. And that totally, to me, he was a great rim protector.
That whole Draymond Green thing.
Yeah.
Where he was suspended.
They
right?
could have easily, the Cavaliers could have easily lost that series, and they would have, you know what I mean.
And then that takes a knock on LeBron James.
The other thing, to me is I think people don't talk about it enough is. How the hell did he lose to the Mavericks in 2011? It's like
I know he let Dirk and Jason Terry. Who else was on that team? Tyson Chandler,
Jason Kidd. Though
to me, it's
but Jason Kidd was B.
But you know what I mean. Though it's just
and Dirk got him, dude. Dirk got him good.
Yeah, but it's just you have Dwayne Wade, who and I think all-time great, dude. In his prime, you had LeBron James. There's no excuse for that, and. It's
who was the second best player on the Mavs team? Who would
I don't even know.
Jason Terry, maybe?
I don't even know.
Tyson Chandler?
And that's saying something.
Yeah, right.
In itself.
Right. Yeah.
But, and then, other people say, LeBron James went to 7 straight finals. It's
I think it was 8. Yeah.
Oh, it was at 8? Okay.
Yeah.
Where was he? He was playing in the East.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
He was playing in the East.
Exactly
like they had. I mean, now the East is pretty good, but in those years, dude, they had nobody. The Celtics were trash, and they were
touch them. The Pacers were kind of the only ones giving them.
Yeah, a little bit of trouble.
The 76ers were garbage, dude.
The Celtics played them a few times in the Eastern Conference Finals, but they were. They were nothing, dude. It's just like.
Paul Pierce was already old.
You know what I mean? It's like that even goes to show, like, his record in the finals goes to show how weak the East was, because, if he was getting to that, if he was getting at that high of a level, he should have won more than what he has.
And that, like you said, it goes back to show, like, the East, like, if it wasn't LeBron, then imagine whatever other team that was in second place.
Dwight Howard, you remember that year where we were stolen the chance to see Kobe versus
and LeBron?
Obviously, I think Kobe would have probably fucking swept his ass. But
just like he did to Dwight.
Got Cleveland. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was probably a close one. It wasn't really close, but somehow Dwight Howard. I mean, he was a beast though. Dwight Howard was a freaking monster.
And revitalized his career.
Yeah, is Dwight Howard a Hall of Famer?
Oh yeah, I think for sure. For sure. For sure. I mean, I think he could have been a lot better than what he was, but take it as he is.
Like for a year or two, he did look like Shaq a little bit. Like for just a year or two, dude, he was
dominant.
He was the defensive player of the year. I want to say like 4 or 5 times in a row because he led the league in blocks. He was easily a 20 and 10 guy. And I read somewhere that 20 and 20 games, so 20 points and 20 rebounds, I think he has a total of 50. And the second place guy is Andre Drummond with like 30 active. And no one else even, and that's 20 games.
Yeah, no one even comes close. And that goes back to show, like, Dwight Howard did revitalize career. Now he's with the Lakers. Now he's with LeBron. And now, like, is this Los Angeles Lakers team a super team with Anthony Davis?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is for sure.
Danny Green in the corner shooting threes. Yeah. I mean, they don't really have who's a third player? Like, who do we consider the third best?
Kyle Kuzma.
Maybe Kuz, yeah, but
I mean, do you even need a third star?
Yeah, exactly.
If the rest of your supporting cast is so good,
I
mean, even McGee is a beast.
Yeah, I mean, LeBron and Anthony Davis are top 5 players.
Top 3, I would almost say the top 3 players in the world, maybe top 4. Like, what would you say? LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Anthony Davis.
Well, what about Giannis? I mean,
Giannis is good.
I don't know, dude.
You're right. Like, I forgot to
James Harden.
It's so hard not. Honestly, I mean, I think he's a top 10 player, but I think the players we mentioned, if I'm starting a team around somebody, and I did not even ASU hate, honestly. I don't even have hate towards ASU. To me, I mean, he doesn't play winning basketball, James Harden.
And Kobe said that.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't play winning basketball. I mean, people say, there was a debate on Twitter about who's better, Steph Curry or James Harden. I'm like, what?
Yeah, Steph Curry's way better.
It's like, you look at all his field goal percentages, Steph Curry's are all better. Mm-hmm. He's not as ball dominant, which is huge.
Yeah. He's more efficient.
Because, exactly, if he's not as ball dominant, they're saying, well, James Harden has more assists. It's like, it's because he has the ball 90% of the time.
It's almost like a force, like, everybody collapses on him, and then he just, throws it out somewhere, and then whoever grabs it just shoots it. So,
well, then it's just like, I mean, he flops so much, dude, and he travels, and he gets away.
He cheats.
I think
James Harden cheats, bro.
Yeah, I think they said that he. I think they said that he has like the most free throws like per season,
by
like
far.
and it's just
by
like
far.
It's like, man.
Yeah, it's not
and
the
fact
type
that he doesn't
win.
win, to me, it's like, I consider, I mean, he's top 10. I'm not going to say he's not a beast because he is. I mean, what he does is ridiculous.
Yeah, he's
But
really
if you're telling me, I mean, I think, honestly, I'd rather have Jokic than Harden, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, Jokic is good, dude.
I would much rather have Luka, especially considering his age.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm taking Giannis, LeBron, Steph. I'm taking AD over. I might even take Embiid.
Yeah, Joel Embiid.
Honestly,
is good,
I mean, I think Embiid, dude, his injuries and his attitude make him super unattractive to me. But I mean, James Harden, dude, it's just
And that goes back, like you mentioned, that he's just not like a winning basketball player. He doesn't play kind of like the winning type of thing. And that just made me think, like, well, what's the point of playing basketball, right? It's to win. And that goes back to what kind of started this whole thing about Michael Jordan and LeBron. Like, Michael Jordan has more championships. And people are like, oh, you can't count rings. You can't count rings. It's like, what's the point of playing basketball? It's to win. Like, regardless, you can have big stats. You can do this. But the whole point is to win. And Michael Jordan's a better winner than LeBron James.
Well, they brought that up to LeBron James. I saw it in a video where they're saying, well, is Bill Russell better than Michael Jordan? But, I mean, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. It's just...
Yeah, and Bill Russell played in the 60s, It's tough though, because it is kind of like it kind of counters the Michael Jordan rings argument, because Bill Russell had a better team, and people say that.
Dude, the 60 Celtics. I mean, they had, how many teams? They have 8
That's
teams
what I was
in the
saying.
NBA.
Like 4 black people in the league too.
They had like 8 teams in the NBA.
Yeah, less teams.
I think the other thing too is you gotta look at it this way. So Jordan was 6 for 6 in the finals.
6 for 6.
No game 7.
The fact that he went to 6 to me is crazy, because he went to UNC. What did he spend 3 years in North Carolina?
Yeah, he was 3 years at North Carolina.
3 years at North Carolina. Then he took a hiatus and played baseball.
Yeah.
You could have went 8 for 8, dude. Straight up.
So he took a hiatus.
Yep. And then his body, like your body's, you're working out for baseball, and then you come back and you play basketball. It's like a completely different
He was
workouts
dropping
and stuff.
50 points on the Knicks.
Well, and to me, it's like I feel like the defense was better in the 90s, and I think
the hand checks rules. And things like that.
Well, that too. But I think if you look at today's game, I think today's game actually helps LeBron James's game a lot, because he's like a linebacker, dude.
Yeah, he just bullies right through.
If you look at it, there's people are playing defense on the perimeter because they're so afraid everybody's going to shoot a 3. That leaves so much space inside for him to just bully anybody and drive.
And he does.
Once you start, exactly. If you put, like I said, everything with a grain of salt. If you put LeBron James in the 90s, he's still the second GOAT. But I don't think he's as good in the 90s, because they're not as focused with perimeter defense as they are in today's NBA game. So if you look, I saw a video where
there was just changed
exactly. But if you look, at defenses, almost like I want to say like 4 out of the 5, maybe 3 out of the 5 are all inside the 3-point line.
Yeah.
And so that makes it harder to drive. That makes it harder to dribble. That makes it harder to pass. Yep. That makes it harder to do a lot of things.
I think it's easier to shoot
threes, but
I think I saw a stat where it was like Michael Jordan. I think he averaged like 3 or 4 3-point attempts. I want to say like 4, maybe 4 or 5 3-point attempts like per game. Like that was how much he would attempt. While LeBron's, I think he's averaging like 9 3-point attempts. So it's like Michael Jordan is scoring more, winning more, and not shooting as many threes.
He averaged 30 points for his career, dude. 30 points. The only other dude to do that was the man who dropped 100 points in a game.
Well, the other thing too is people like to discredit Jordan so much. He was like a 9-time all defensive player.
Yeah.
Defensive player, and it's okay, LeBron James is good, but he's not the best defender in the game.
In steals, we were looking at stats because we were arguing, and LeBron's numbers in points, rebounds, assists are all going to be better than Jordan. He's going to place very highly on all those. But I remember we looked at steals, and I think Jason Kidd is above and beyond the steals leader. And
it's Stockton.
And then Kidd, right? I think it was Stockton.
Yeah.
The same with assists. Assists was Stockton by a huge amount, and then Jason Kidd. And it was the same with steals. And third was Michael Jordan.
Yeah. He only played 15 seasons, and LeBron is at season 17 right now.
And so I think it's funny. I always see these things. It's like LeBron at age 33, Michael at age 33. It's like, dude, he freaking at 33.
Yeah, he was already.
Jordan already played 3 years of college. He already done, what was it, 1 or 2 years of baseball?
2. I think he played 2.
Okay, so 2. You know
at least,
what I mean?
Yeah, I think he took 2 years off. So I don't know if he really played baseball for 2 years.
He took 2 years
but
off.
He did take 2 years off.
You know what I mean? That's 5 years that LeBron had at a young age. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say his days at UNC were prime, but there's still he still could have dominated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, LeBron went straight from high school to the NBA, so he had those extra couple of years, and while Michael Jordan's got those 3. So I think Michael Jordan entered the league at like 21 when LeBron entered at 18. So it's different. It's a different argument, but
I think the other thing that needs to be, addressed, not only for this, debate, but also for other, other sports or people comparing, this era of sports to previous era of sports is, people say, oh, if you put somebody today's game back then, they would dominate. It's like, well, yeah, but I mean, look at all this new stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, look
new
at all
workouts,
the trainings,
new everything,
I mean, you're a product of your environment. I mean, those, you know what I mean? So to me, it's like you have to take it for what it is.
Yeah.
You can't say, well, if you...
It's hard to go back.
Exactly. Yeah. It's okay, but what did he do against the competition that had the same, advantages, disadvantages that he has? And I think it's just, It's
hard. It's hard to do that. Mm-hmm. Like it's almost like it almost shouldn't be brought up, you know, like, because man, it's just hard to say, because let's say Babe Ruth, like, for example, like, he put up big numbers while he's like, you know,
smoking
he's a chubby dude smoking cigars. Like, he's a product of his time. Like you said, like, if he was training and stuff, like, he probably might even be better, or he might not even do it. You know, who knows? Like, who really knows whether if he'd be better or not?
Like, LeBron James, doesn't he spend, I heard, over like millions
million
of dollars on his body? And Jordan was out there drinking, smoking cigars,
gambling,
possibly taking lines. Who knows? Do you believe him or not? And LeBron is probably the most perfect dude. He just sips a little wine with Dwayne Wade. You know, you never see that dude smoking. He's probably, man, taking care of himself.
I'll say this too. I mean, this doesn't have at all to do with who's the greatest of all time. But this is why I've never really been huge on like watching LeBron and I'm definitely gonna be in the minority here, but I don't think he's really that exciting to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look
he's
at
not
like
smooth, like, he's not a smooth basketball player.
Like, to me, like, Jordan and Kobe had so much finesse.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
that's a
much,
perfect word for it. Finesse.
Like, so much, like, dude, like, they were just, I mean,
it looks so smooth. Like, they just look like they were born to play like that.
The other thing too is, you know, LeBron, you know, I feel like LeBron's kind of like this, like, you know, teddy bear. He's so nice and stuff like that. To me, it's like,
the killer mentality.
Yeah, dude.
That's
like,
maybe what it takes
with
dude.
Kobe and, you know, Michael. It's like, dude, they were scared. You know what I mean? Because he would talk shit to him. He would. I mean, he would get. That's why I'm a huge Kobe fan. I mean, I probably would be a huge Michael Jordan fan if I'd, you know, been alive to see him. But I mean, just everything that Kobe embodied. I mean, like I said, I'm a huge Kobe fan, but I'll be the first to admit that LeBron James should be ranked higher on the all-time list.
I agree with that.
Just because LeBron James is just such a
tank, dude. He's just so unique. No one looks like him.
Yeah, I mean, he's just all around. He's an all-around great player.
Mm-hmm. He's fast. He can
like
jump.
Charles
He's big.
Barkley
like
had
everything.
A shot, handles, like everything. He was quick. He could jam over you.
Yeah, well, I mean, similar to LeBron.
Have you seen LeBron's weak ass? It's like I don't even know what you call it. It's like he looks the other way.
Oh yeah.
And then he shoots, and it's just like, people are saying, well, it works. It's like, well, yeah, it works because they have to defend the drive.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, I would rather him shoot than him drive. And he's worked on his game because he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They
get
shooting,
better.
He was not always a great shooter.
I mean, his free throws are still down, dude. He's still shooting like 65% on his free throws.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, though? I mean,
but his threes has definitely gotten better.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, like, you have to be all. I mean, I think Ben Simmons has so much potential, but it's as far as his 3-point shot takes him, dude. How can you be a point guard? How can you be considered one of the game's best when you're playing a guard position? You can't shoot a three.
You're a liability.
You won't even shoot. Like, you won't shoot.
And the defense even
knows it. The whole league knows it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, imagine if he developed. I mean, if I were him.
Yeah,
dude, that's all I'd be working on. That is
everything else are pretty good.
He can drive, he can pass.
But the thing is, though, it's like shooting is like everything. It's like if you practice. Like, kind of going off top a little bit with Lonzo Ball, his form, like, it's better now. But when he first started, it's like, how have you been playing basketball your whole life and my form is 1,000 times better than yours? Yeah. I mean, it's
his form when he came in the league was ridiculous. Lonzo Ball's form was
it's just like,
it was horrible.
How does that happen? How does nobody
like Sean Marion? Dude, Sean Marion was horrible too.
Though,
but the thing is, though, I mean, he like shot with like what, 2 hands? His was like almost unblockable.
It was weird. Yeah,
Lonzo Ball's is just
very strange.
You know what I mean? If it works, go for it. Marion, I think it worked for him because it was harder to block. Had a high release and whatnot.
And obviously with Lonzo Ball, like he had to fix it, so he knew it wasn't working to begin with. Yeah.
Well, and the fact is, I mean, his release point's like right. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the chest. I mean, a little less than the chest.
Get that out of here.
So easy to block, and I mean, it's.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's just gross.
But Ben Simmons is just like not shooting at all. He will not shoot. Like, he's open. They will give it to him and he's open, like, and he still is able to drive and get in and pass and dish. Like, and like you said, imagine if there were the defenders were actually up on him and then he had easier lanes and doing this and doing that. Like, he would be a way better player than he is right now.
He's a shooter with the ladies, though.
Ask Kendall Jenner.
Yeah. He definitely has a problem with that. Just needs to transfer that energy.
Yeah, I know, right? I know, dude. But yeah, I mean, the going back to LeBron James and Michael Jordan, like, people say that LeBron has faced tougher competition when in reality, dude, you look back and you see
team.
You see Michael Jordan and he's facing really good competition. He's facing Hall of Famers, like he's beating Hall of Famers, and
I agree. People, people say, "Oh, they were facing plumbers," and it's like, no, look at the Dream Team. Like that league was comprised of players from the Dream Team.
Hall of Famers.
They had, so many.
Charles Barkley, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Patrick Ewing, Chris Mullen. Hakeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler.
Oh my! Everybody, dude.
Chris Mullen, dude, and then the
Shaq when he came in, dude.
When he was on the Magic,
God, dude, he was a freaking. Him and Penny, dude. They were. It sucks how Penny's injuries and shit, but it's just how are you gonna? And nowadays it's so touchy feely. Look at James Harden. He can, flop his way into 40 points.
More threes.
And it's how, it's no.
You put Michael Jordan in today's game, like they're not touching him. Like,
dude, he would go off. I will say this, though, about how LeBron James being a teddy bear, I do think him playing in the 90s era would toughen him up a shit
he would have
ton,
to.
and I think
he would have to
be a tank, dude. If he got toughened up, he'd be easily the toughest player in the league in any era. That dude's just so unique, dude.
Well, I feel like other people have his size and stuff, but they don't have his coordination
speed,
and his athleticism
his dribble,
and you know what I mean? Because there's people that
handles.
I have friends that are like 6'5", and I'm like, dude, what a waste of 6. Not to say, just because you're putting it in basketball terms, like, dude, what a waste of 6'5". I was like, dude, if I was 6'5", I'd be bodying up dudes, dunking on dudes. Yeah. I don't know if I'd be in the league, but I'd be at LA every day, dunking on fools and running stuff. But
it's true. Yeah, I still got to go with Michael Jordan, dude. Like, it is up for date. LeBron still's got a couple more years left to go.
Let's say he gets 5. Let's say LeBron gets 5 championships, or even let's say 6. He matches. He's had more opportunities. If he gets 6, let's say he's able to win 3 championships, and all 3 of them, he just went to 3 and he won all 3. So what would that make him?
I think 11 he's 3 for 8 right now, right? So then it would be 6 for 11. Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that
he can do
because he left the Cavaliers. Look what happened to them. He was, he didn't stay with them, and because he wanted to. I know he wanted to go to LA, but it's not like he wasn't recruiting. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's Michael's. He was spending time with the Wizards, but for his, when they talk about his tenure, it's mostly Chicago is what they're talking about. And those are 6 years, dude. That's crazy. 6 with 1.
Yeah,
and in the same decade, dude.
In the same decade.
Like that's.
He won 6 championships in 8 years, and in 2 of those years that that counts for the 8 years, he was playing baseball.
What other sport has any not just person but team? What other team has done that? The only thing I can think of is the Patriots.
Yankees. But that's back in the day. But
but the Patriots. But even then,
it was 6 out of 20 years. Tom Brady's been on the Patriots for 20 years,
and it's still not even comparable.
He did that 6 for 8.
It's still not comparable because you know what I mean. It wasn't in the same decade. It was.
You
know what I mean?
Yeah, it's spread apart. Right.
And to me, even the Patriots thing is I feel like that's more of a result of the
team,
of the system that
the division,
Belichick,
dude, because they get a bye week, they get home advantage.
But it's a system too. They had Jacoby Brissett who played a couple games and he killed it.
He still won. Garoppolo,
he killed. He's still a beast, but he still killed it.
Yeah,
I think it's more of a nature of their system rather than the Bulls. You take Jordan off, dude.
They're nothing. Look at them. Look at them without Jordan. They didn't even make it to the Eastern Conference Finals or anything. But that goes to show how much of an impact one player can have in basketball versus one player can have in football. In football, it's a bigger team.
Or baseball. I think you guys were talking about that.
Yeah, or baseball.
Mike Trout.
Yeah, exactly. He's the best player.
Dude, I think they'll probably consider him the greatest of all time. And
by far.
Has he even made the playoff? I don't even think he's made the playoffs, dude.
Dude, he's dying in Anaheim on the Angels, dude. He's dying over there.
It's crazy because they have so much money, but they use it so.
Yeah, they paid Pujols a shit ton of money while he's at the end of his career. He's washed.
They have 0 pitching this year, dude.
Yeah, and they're not getting any better. Yeah, Shohei Ohtani, right?
But even then, I feel like he's a better batter than. Their offense is sick. They got Rendon, they got Trout.
They got Rendon, really?
Yeah, dude. They got Rendon. They signed him to like I said, dude. They don't have any problem giving out these max contracts. They gave him like $400 million or something.
For whatever reason, they just can't put the pieces together, or maybe it's the pitching or something. The rotations.
It is the pitching, but it's like you look at the A's or the Rays who do shit ton with way less. It's like to me, it's like I probably wouldn't have signed Rendon just because I would have probably
spread it out a little bit more instead of paying just one player so much money.
To me, Mike Trout is going to go down as the greatest baseball player of all time.
He's worth whatever you're going to give him. He's worth it.
Personality, everything that he can come. Like to me, I think he'll go down as, like, if you look at stats wise, he'll go down as better than Jordan, better than LeBron. It's a lot different though, because it's a different sport, and one person can't dictate that much of a game, because you're only getting 3 or 4 at bats,
right?
And you know what I mean. It's like, if you're a pitcher, you're only getting 1 every 5 days.
You're relying on a lot of different things.
It's not. I mean, even in football, you can still. I mean, you still need a bunch of players, but I mean, one player can totally,
like a quarterback, like especially a quarterback,
can totally revitalize
baseball,
a team.
When you can't play defense, quarterback can't play defense.
It's not like that. Baseball, it's like you don't have the ball in your hands all the time. You don't have the bat in your hands all the time, so you're not able to control all.
It's more one-on-one, just pitcher batter. That's literally all it. It's more.
Yeah, and then somebody else comes up, and then a new pitcher, or like, the ball gets hit over here, and I'm not playing over there, so I can't affect anything.
And you made a good point, dude. Like in the playoffs with the rotation, I feel like that's it, dude. If you have a beast rotation going into the playoffs, it doesn't really matter what your offense is looking like, as long as, they're not stupid. They're major leaguers. They're going to back good regardless. But if your pitching rotation is well, like the Astros, sure, they were cheating, but Garrett Cole, Justin Verlander, who was that other guy? Greinke, there was some other guy too. They were like that right there.
McCullers. They've always had a great...
Dallas Keuchel, right? Like that guy was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like they had a ridiculous rotation, and all, sure they were cheating, but.
Well, I think baseball in the playoffs is if you have 3 studs, pitchers, even if they're on a hot streak. Yeah. Throw the other 2 in the bullpen, and even if you weak bullpen, dude, you're still getting a huge bolster. But I mean, like you said, dude, you need so many aspects in baseball to be successful. You have to have. I think the thing is, so they said pitching, offense, and defense. You need 2 of the 3 things to win.
2 of the 3.
2 of the 3 things. So I mean, to me, it's always been. I mean, obviously the Angels have.
Hitting now, right? So they're able to hit, but
everybody's able to hit now. Everyone's able to hit now.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the D-backs. I mean, the D-backs pitching hasn't always been great, but their offense was really good, and their defense, dude. I think they're like the number 1 rated defensive team, and it's. I'm probably some bias here. I'm a huge D-backs fan, but
I know I'm wearing a D-backs jersey right now. Check this out.
It's going on. We think we wanted to talk about like the baseball.
Yeah. We could keep going. We could stick with baseball. Let's bring up kind of like steroids. I know there was something that you kind of wanted to touch upon too. Like, should steroids be allowed in sports, and especially in baseball? I mean, baseball is almost known for steroids now. Like, athletes are getting looked down upon, if they're caught using steroids, or baseball players aren't being allowed into the Hall of Fame because of their use of steroids. Like, should baseball players be allowed to use it? Should it just be disregarded? Because if everybody's using, then nobody's using, right? If everybody's using, then everybody's kind of on the same level. But since it is against the rule, these players that do get caught are looked as cheaters. So that's why they're not getting in. And like for example, Barry Bonds, like, he's got the home run record, but there's been accusations of him using steroids. So he most likely probably won't get in.
ESPN lists him as the 2nd greatest baseball player ever behind Babe Ruth,
and he's not in the Hall of Fame.
I would list him as number 1. I think, like you said. I mean, I know we kind of said it's hard to dictate, but I mean, it's just, to me, it's like I think Babe Ruth's kind of overrated. I don't have
just because he was back in the day, like, he was 1930s, 1920s.
Exactly, and it's so far back.
It's 100. Almost 100 years ago.
It's like these people that are writing up this thing. Nope, they never saw Babe Ruth.
Yeah,
they never.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
The people that put the list together.
And he was actually playing against like plumbers, and he was actually, you know what I mean? So
people that had other jobs and things like that.
And the thing about Babe Ruth is, about Barry Bonds is, he was a beast before then.
Yeah.
And the way I always looked at it is, baseball, a lot of people don't really think about it, but you need so much hand-eye coordination. You need to be
it's considered to be one of the hardest sports.
90 mile an hour fastball, you have a split second to make any sort of decision.
So, how much how much steroids, they give you muscles and shit. But
does
it's gonna maybe make
give
the bar
you more
go,
power,
and stuff like that. But you need so many.
You still need to hit the ball first.
Exactly. And to me, it's like, it honestly might actually kind of hurt people in a ways, because you
lose less like mobility in your arms and things like that.
You're not as limber. You're
flexible.
So in some instances, I think it could hurt people, but I personally believe that we should let athletes use
steroids.
Well, not even any like
just like HGH, just like because there's a lot of things that are against the rules, right? Like there's
you're going to create steroids that like become like what you're saying about hand-eye coordination. I'm sure they can probably whip up something that can help up your hand-eye.
That's difficult, right? Yeah, that'd be difficult.
That's like a whole different ball game there. But I mean, nowadays there's like a bunch of like steroids and stuff they have where it can like hit certain receptors to where they have certain like what they're going for. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, everyone has, steroids are natural. Everyone has steroid. I mean, cholesterol is a steroid.
Yeah. When you go to the doctors, they'll be like, "Oh, I got to get you a steroid, or I got to put, inject a little bit."
It's a different steroid. I mean, steroid's a broad term. So I mean, what you're talking about is like for like inflammation. Steroid's a broad term, but when you're talking about steroids, you're mostly talking about like testosterone
HGH,
or like
something that boosts you up. Yeah, exactly. Gives you more energy and things like that.
Even then, those are natural. Those are our bodies are natural. That's why people get prescribed testosterone or they get prescribed all these things. I mean. And not even steroids, but like performance enhancers, as a whole. I mean, they consider insulin a performance enhancer.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's on like the list if you're taking.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's on the list because what if somebody has diabetes?
Yeah.
But it is. I mean, it's used by bodybuilders, and because insulin, brings sugar into your cells. I mean, that's energy right there. So so insulin is considered a performance
HGH,
enhancer, and it you know what I mean. It's all about definitions of what do you consider a performance enhancer.
Yeah, PD.
But to me, it's like these professionals are probably at the top of their peak of health. They're as long as it's administered by a health professional, they have supervision.
Yeah, they don't abuse it or anything.
It depends on how you define abuse. Some people would consider what they're doing abuse. But I mean, as long as doing anything involves risk.
Yeah.
Taking anything involves risk.
Just like anything.
So as long as they're supervised by a medical professional and
which they have plenty of, they have a lot of access to that,
and they know the risks that are involved. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I want to see somebody hit 70, 50 jacks a year, and I want to see,
and for the fan, as a fan, like you want to see more home runs. You want to like how they were going back and forth. What was it, Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire, like back in the day, and both 60. Of them are now looked as cheaters, right? Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa are now both looked as cheaters because they were at least accused. I don't know, you hear the stories and things like that. You don't really know if they were taking it or not, but
Sosa even like had the thing with the cork bat, so that fool was trying to he was getting an advantage any way he could.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that, the cork bats and stuff like that.
But I mean, if you look at that era, the steroid era too, I mean, there's a lot of players where you look at where it's like, dude, there's no way they weren't taking steroids. I mean, I mean,
for sure.
Like I said, I'm a huge D-backs fan. 2001, Luis Gonzalez. 57 home runs in 2001. Dude, he never was close.
Out of nowhere,
Nowhere near that. You know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah.
It's like...
He's more like a contact hitter, not a power hitter.
Yeah, it's like, where the hell did 57 home runs come from? But I mean, to take it at that same instance, we see not only jacks, but we see freaking some of the greatest pitching performances ever. I mean, Randy, Clemens, he's one of the big people. Mm-hmm. He's not going to get in because he took steroids. But I mean, Randy Johnson, nobody ever said anything, but I feel like that
just because he's skinny and stuff, just because he looks like a skinny guy, you wouldn't think of it.
And from what I heard, he's a cocky motherfucker.
Yeah.
So you don't think he's going to take any advantage he can.
Yeah.
The dude won 4 straight Cy Young awards.
Yeah. And then he's considered to be one of the best pitchers, right? Or if the best pitcher of all time. Right?
Well, then you have probably the most dominant stretch by Pedro Martinez. Dude's 5'9". 5'9", and for like 4 years, dude, he was unhittable.
Yep.
Fucking blowing my mind right now, dude. I'm a huge Pedro Martinez fan.
Go in, man.
Crazy.
You know what I mean, though? It's just like, to me, it's like, nobody knows if he was or not. But I mean, the dude's 5'9". Yeah, he has a cannon, but I mean, there's got to be something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's got to be.
It's just so unusual for it not to be like. It's almost like it's like a coincidence that this little guy right here is throwing
in this time era.
And then involve, you put him in that era, in the steroids era. It's like you hear all these stories about all these other guys using, and it's like, well, if they're using, then why can't I?
Like Lance Armstrong, like he was saying, it was in the culture. They accused him of being the ringleader. He was the one handing out or telling people what to take. But if it's his excuse, I guess, was that it was built into the culture. And if that during the steroid era was in the culture and everybody was doing it, like, you don't want to be the odd man out, right? You don't want to be left behind, right? You don't. Yeah. Pedro, if he didn't, like, let's say it's true and there's other pitchers that are juicing up, they're going to pass his ass and millions are on the line and all this is on the line. Like, give me a little shot of that shit. Like, give me a little hit.
I think what makes it, to me, is that they lied.
Yeah,
I think it definitely hurt their image,
right?
Yeah, so to me, like I would have so much more respect if somebody like if he got accused and I'm guilty, man. I did it, but I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus. But that's the culture. That's how it is. It's either It's not like the Marines or Army or whatever, dude. They'll leave your ass behind real quick.
Yeah.
So, like Canelo Alvarez, or their excuses that I ate red meat, it was beef.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm taking. I don't know what I'm taking.
Exactly. That's what Lance also said. Like, he was saying, I'm not going to lie to you. I know what I was doing. I know what I was taking. That's always an excuse. Oh, I didn't know. Someone offered it to me and I had no idea.
Responsibility, man up to it.
Give me a break.
Side note, just because it just reminded me of DeAndre Ayton getting suspended this past semester or this past season. I thought, quick note real quick, I thought that was super ridiculous because, it's called a water pill and people were saying, oh, he was using steroids.
Diuretic.
Yeah, well, so people were saying, oh, he's using it because it, makes you pee a lot and it's gonna get all the PADs out of your system. Well, to me, that never made sense to me because all it does is it's just taking water out of your system. And
so it's almost like a weight loss kind of thing.
Well, no,
like you lose water weight.
Well, it can be used for that.
Or liver or something.
Typically it's used for blood pressure because you have a lot of when your blood, a lot of it's called plasma, and a lot of that's just of like nutrients and like water and stuff like that. So it's not super used anymore, but diuretics are typically used for blood pressure because they decrease blood pressure, but they all are also used for somebody who has a lot of like water buildup, and like with heart failure and stuff, they'll have just so much water built up. They'll use it because it just flushes all that stuff out.
Yeah, it just gets rid of all the toxins and all the bad stuff that you have in there.
But the reason why they said he was suspended is because they're trying to cover up the steroids.
Yeah.
But to me, like I said, that never made sense. So I actually went not only to one professor, I went to my pharmacology professor, asked him. He said, no, that's bullshit. That can't happen. Then I even went to the head of pharmacology at the University of Arizona, who knows. I mean, he teaches medical students everything. He knows everything.
He's a top dog.
Right away, he's like, nope. Doesn't.
That's
he's
like,
so
it
doesn't make sense.
And you mean to tell me that the NBA doesn't know that? You mean to tell me that the NBA doesn't have the medical professors?
So I mean, he was probably taking it to lose weight, to try to sweat, to gain some lean. And I'm not saying he didn't take steroids.
Who knows if he did or if he didn't.
Exactly. I'm not saying that at all. But that reason just did not sit right with me. And that's why I actually, reading that, I'm like, because, in school, they teach us about all the ways to abuse drugs because you need to look out for that.
Yeah.
And that was never one of the things. And you would think that would be a huge a cornerstone.
According to the NBA, I mean, he was suspended for 25 games, and that's like one of the biggest suspensions that the NBA's ever given out.
And the Suns still, I mean, I'm a huge Suns fan too, but the Suns still did pretty damn good if I don't say so myself.
Yeah.
With that
25 game suspension.
But that's so crazy. Like, let's say you're DeAndre and what you're saying is true. He didn't take anything. It comes out that he took this diuretic 25 games, boom, he's a steroid user, whatever. If he were to come out and say what you said, that I was taking it to lose water weight or whatever, he looks guilty. It almost looks worse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like if he comes out and like tries to defend himself,
is 100% sold that he took it, and then he comes out and say, no, I was doing this. He just like it exactly like it looks worse. Like Canelo saying that, like it looks like you even look more guilty.
Or stupid even.
And there's that scrutiny already on DeAndre Ayton because of all the stuff that happened in the NCAA and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, you know what I mean?
It's just like built up.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's any, I'm not a huge conspiracy theorist or anything. But I don't know if there's any agendas or, the NBA just doesn't like the Suns because that's what it seems like.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, we just have bad luck.
A lot.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that's what's crazy is I think we have like the fourth highest winning percentage of all time or something like that.
I mean, Steve Nash and Amari did a lot of the work, right?
They put up
a lot of the work.
This past decade, dude.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, dude.
It hurts
ever
my
since
heart,
Steve Nash, dude. Ever since Steve Nash left and Amari left.
The GM. Oh my God.
And then now I think the GM is James Jones, right? James Jones is the GM,
which he's done better. I mean, I still think we have some ways to go, but I mean,
we drafted so bad. I mean, you mean tell me Alex Len, Dragon Bender, dude. That's
the thing though. So Alex Len, I don't like that guy at all. But I mean, that was the same. I mean, nobody really came out of that draft in the early rounds. I mean, Giannis was like 15th that year. I mean,
and that was pre.
I mean, how do you know that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's so underdeveloped.
It's like hit and miss. You know what I mean?
It is hit or miss.
But it's a lot of misses.
It's funny because in 2017 draft when we drafted Josh Jackson.
Yeah.
So it was funny because I wanted De'Aaron Fox so bad.
Yeah, he was good.
So bad. And I think
he's still doing good.
He's really good. We would, oh man, imagine
better than Josh Jackson.
Well, so the other thing too is I saw a lot of people saying, we're gonna draft Jason Tatum, and at the time I was.
Oh no, we don't want. Jason Tatum.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. At the time I was like, I was gonna be pissed, dude.
Yeah, if we draft Jason Tatum, that's gonna suck.
Now looking at it, like look how ignorant I was.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, I did not want him, and you know what's funny? So what I heard is that the Celtics traded from 1 to 3. Well, they traded down.
Down, that's right.
So they traded. They had the 1 overall pick. The Sixers had the 3rd overall pick. They swapped, and the Celtics, I guess, were considering either Tatum or Jackson. But I guess the Suns didn't want Tatum.
The Suns had 4th, right?
Yeah, they had 4th. So what had happened is Tatum had his meeting with the Celtics. Tatum also met with the Suns. Josh Jackson had his meeting with the Suns, and they basically said, "Hey, don't go visit the Celtics. We don't want them to see you. We don't want them to take you."
Who, Tatum?
No, Josh Jackson. I get what you're saying. Josh Jackson canceled his meeting with the Celtics. So that's why. I'm not saying they wouldn't have.
So the Celtics don't even get an interview. They have nothing.
So it kind of forced their hand just to force.
Just to go to
I'm not saying they maybe would have gone with
1. He said I would have picked him 1. Someone said, I think it was Danny H said, if we kept the number 1 pick, I would have picked Jason.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you never know. Yeah, but I mean, Josh Jackson had a meeting with the Celtics, and they were gonna discuss. You know what I mean? Who knows? We could have still wound up with
the same thing.
Yeah,
ended up with Markelle Fultz, dude.
Shit, better than Josh Jackson.
I know, dude. Josh Jackson.
Now, that's the first year. It was like we were also. I think me and Alex were talking like Markelle Fultz in terms of the 76ers is a huge bust, huge waste of a number 1 pick. He got traded to the Magic. And he's doing okay, like he's not as bust. But you know what I'm saying? Like you understand, like with the 76ers, he's a huge bust. He gave them nothing.
In terms of like him actually as a player, he's kind of coming back. He's obviously not worth the number 1 pick, but
compared to what he did at Washington, dude, he was a beast at Washington.
They just didn't win games, firsthand
against U of A.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a monster. And I don't know what happened because if you look at his shot and like the way he played, it wasn't like it was the same game he was playing at Washington. Yeah. I think he got his confidence down or somebody tried to fix something, and it just got to where he didn't. I think he lost his identity.
Yeah, mentally.
And they didn't know who he was or how to play, and I think he had to regain it. I think he's been doing a lot better at
for sure
with the Magic.
Yeah. For sure.
But dude, it just takes time to find himself. I mean, like you said though, it's definitely not worth the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
But honestly, surprised the Suns didn't make a stupid decision like that. Well, I mean, I guess you can kind of say, they should have picked Doncic.
But still, I mean, DeAndre Ayton's not a bad pick either. Like
like I said, this is all. It could be fake news, like we were talking about earlier. But from what I read online, Devin Booker didn't want
DeAndre Ayton or Luka? Oh, because they're like the same player, right? They're like the same position. They kind of play the same.
He didn't want him on the same team. But I mean, just imagine that.
Yeah, Luka and Devin Booker together.
I think Ayton is gonna. I still think Ayton's gonna be. I have so much. I mean, people say his defense is bad. If you look at his defensive metrics, he was like in the 99th percentile, and like I think it was interior defense, dude. People don't watch the Suns, so they just say, "Oh, his defense is bad." If you look at the metrics, they're better. They're really great. His effort is there.
I kind of like his body. I feel like it just leads to him doing that. But I don't know. At Arizona, he had a horrible motor. Like people would just drive in on him all the time. He wouldn't do there were so many plays of him just sitting there watching someone just drive on him when easily he could have. For sure, maybe not blocked every single shot, but have
altered it or something like that.
Like there were plenty of plays where it was like, man, he looks like he has a terrible motor.
I don't even know if it's like really motor or motivation.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Both, it's because I mean,
it could be both.
If you've seen him, dude, he's freaking conditioned like a monster. I think to me, he's always been like lackadaisical.
He almost takes his body for granted. Like he's like, I'm big, I'm this. I'm like, he's just my body's enough. Like that's enough for me. Like that's cool. And
it's definitely improving because I watch all the Suns games. He's definitely getting better. It's definitely still needs improvement, But I think potentially, if he decides he wants to be aggressive and he decides he wants to, he had what, like 23 points in one quarter.
Yeah.
I mean he had
he was like averaging like 20 and 10 pretty much.
I think he had a 20-20 game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
You know what I mean?
I'm sure he did.
And people call him a bust, and it's at his age, I actually looked it up. At his age, not saying he's going to turn into this, but at his age, he had better numbers than Anthony Davis.
Right?
Anthony Davis?
Than Anthony Davis.
Too.
I don't know. That's some big
that's
numbers.
Tough too. Yeah, Shaq's tough too.
I mean, it wasn't by a lot, but he had better rebounding numbers. He's like 18
and 10, right? He's like 18 and 10 around that area. That's
I think
what
he was like
averaging.
19 and 12 this year, to tell you the truth.
I mean, me and him had a big argument one time about, like, now looking back at it, on the Suns, like, would you take Luka Doncic, knowing what you know now, would you take Luka Doncic or would you still take DeAndre Ayton? And I was for DeAndre Ayton based on just the Suns as the team that they are, as the Suns that, the way that they're constructed right now, with Devin Booker being, the guard and then having the big center, down low. And he was for the Luka Doncic. He wanted to see Luka and Devin Booker. And I was just like, man, I don't know.
Again, I said you were arguing. You were like, well, like, yeah, like a mesh. They're both ball dominant. I want to say not necessarily, not as much as other players, but I was arguing, like, I don't know, like if it comes to that, if Luka and Devin Booker are at odds with each other, then I don't know, get rid of Devin. Like, get rid of, like,
who, I'm not, who would you keep, I guess?
Well, so this is the thing, is this is the thing that's hard to, my mind's telling me Luka Doncic, I would keep him. But I mean, he's, Mavericks are winning all this. Dude, the Mavericks have a way better team than the Suns.
They have Porzingis.
You know what I mean?
They have good defense and things like that.
And when Devin Booker's on,
yeah, he scored 70 points in a game, right?
He's ridiculous.
He's inconsistent, though.
The thing that I think that is going to take Booker over the edge, dude, he needs to work on his defense.
Yeah.
If you were to tell me in 2 years Booker's going to work on his defense and become just an average defender.
Yeah. He's definitely.
I might pick Booker just because. I mean, it might be some bias thrown into there just because I'm a Suns fan.
The Suns, and you're already used to seeing Booker in the Suns jersey and things like that.
I don't know, dude. Like, Doncic's 3-point percentage shooting is not very good.
Yeah. He's 3-point.
Honestly, like,
clutch, bro. He looks hella clutch in the moment.
Clutch, but I mean, are you gonna, you know what I mean? Do you want like the longevity, or you just want that in moment? I mean. Like I said, he's a beast. I'm not disclaiming, I'm not whatever, but I mean, I just think that he could take better shots. I mean, they show a lot of the stuff where he's draining in people's face, but they don't. I mean, he misses a lot in people's face too. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Highlights are only they're highlights, right? They're only video and little things of them making shots and them busting somebody's ass, but they don't really show them missing or their actual numbers and their stats like that. So
I was surprised, honestly, because there's the narrative that Luka's. This and that. When I saw his numbers, I'm like, I mean, his averages are great. But if you look at his percentages,
not to say that he's a bad player, but
if you look at his percentages,
it's almost like people are overhyping him too.
Yeah, I mean, well, his defense really isn't.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and because people are like, they compare Trae Young and Luka a lot, and honestly, it's a fair comparison. Their numbers are very similar. I mean, would I rather have Luka? Yeah, but that's just based on his size, really.
Yeah, Luka's like what, 6'8", 6'7"?
Is he that? I think he's like 6'6".
Really?
I don't know.
He's big. Yeah, maybe I exaggerated that. Maybe I'm thinking of Ben Simmons or something.
Definitely big though. I mean, Trae Young
he's a big dude.
Trae Young's that NBA.
Like a Steph Curry kind of like type of player. Like Trae Young's like, he just reminds me of like Steph Curry, where he just like shoots those like threes and dribbles a lot, does a fancy movements and things like that. And I think that. I don't know why. In my head, I just think Trae Young as like kind of like a Steph Curry kind of type of player, where Luka Doncic.
I mean, you can't go wrong.
That's not a hit at Trae Young or Steph Curry. like that's good. Like if you're gonna play like Steph Curry, then you're gonna be
good choice.
Yeah, that's a good choice to have. But
yeah, no kidding, dude.
Yeah, dude. I mean, we're coming up, dude. We time has flown by, dude. We're at an hour 47 right now, dude. It doesn't feel like that, huh? No, don't feel like that.
Good topic.
I know, right? Yeah, we kept going. I don't know if you want to. Hop into the last thing, or like I know that you also kind of wanted to touch upon like one subject on the NCAA basketball scandals and things like that.
Brother. I'm cool with whatever, man.
Yeah, man. I mean,
we should shit on Arizona really quick.
Oh, chill,
dude. I'm excited. I'll say this. I'm excited for this season because we have a lot of international players, but I mean, 247 ranked our recruiting class is number 5.
Yeah,
overall.
I saw that, like a top 5.
And from what I heard, they're all players that are going to stay.
A couple years.
That are trying to stay. So, I mean, it's definitely a nice change of pace because,
kind of like Villanova, how Villanova kind of did it, where they kept their players. Or Virginia too.
Well,
Virginia recently.
They never have top recruiting classes. When do you ever see them in the top 10 for recruiting?
That's what I was going to argue. Like, that's to say we've had top recruiting classes over the years, and we've been asked. Like, they haven't lived up to what it was.
Well, and then like they're like, I feel like a lot of their recruits are overrated. I mean, Nico Mannion, dude, he had so much
hype,
huge dude. And I watch him play, and I'm like, dude, he's not that good.
Yeah,
like,
from the jump, dude. From the first game, you're like, he's good, but
I thought Josh Green was better. To tell you the truth,
yeah,
I think he has the most potential out of all three of our potential draftees.
Yeah, what's the other guy's name again?
Zeke was the guy. Yeah, you had no idea it was Josh Green and Nico, and Zeke was leading the team in scoring.
Well, once I went to the Red Blue game, dude, and I saw Najee play, I'm like, oh, dude, this dude's
gonna be the best player.
Dude. Well, I'm excited about Christian Coloco, dude.
Yeah,
he's gonna be a monster, dude.
And
he needs to work on his offense.
Like Mo Bamba, like just a lengthy, just defensive dude.
He needs to work
aggressive as crap.
He needs to work on his free throws, dude. That Oregon game where we...
I know.
Oh, my God. The free throws, because Josh Green missed them, too. I honestly, like, oh, my God.
We had
so many headaches.
Yeah.
But, I honestly, I don't think U of A's deserved... Well, first and foremost, I don't think Sean Miller has deserved a lot of his hate that he's gotten.
You think so?
I don't think so, just because...
A lot of people...
I don't like him at all.
A lot of people,
Why?
A lot of people blame Sean Miller.
He's stubborn as can be. He hasn't
agree.
changed anything. Like, he's old now. He's been here for 10 years. You would think that 10 years like would lead to him getting better, doing... It doesn't seem like he's changing anything. He's kind of an ass too. The refs hate him. He's sweaty as hell every time. Like he yells. He's crazy. Like I don't know.
I would rather have a coach be in the ref's ear than somebody who's not, because I mean, regardless of what you say, it is in the back of the ref's mind. It does work the refs.
But I mean, there was that bounty on Sean Miller, right? That one bounty.
Exactly, with Larry Scott and all that stuff.
Give Sean Miller a technical.
Yeah, well, and then so I do think he is trying to change stuff going with this, with this new route. And actually, in the last couple of years, I do think if you look at his recruiting classes, it's a lot more guard oriented than before. If you look at before, I mean, we had Brandon Ashley, Grant Jarrett, we had
big guys,
Tarzewski, all big dudes, and it kind of was, our guards were people that TJ
like
McConnell, transfers, or you know what I mean though. But so now I feel like we're getting more guard oriented, especially with our last recruiting class. We had Nico and whatever. So that was I like that. Two, I think you have to take in the last couple of years. With the whole scandal and whatnot, it's definitely taken a toll.
It definitely has.
Going forward, he's obviously taking a new route, saying, okay, we're going to go international. We're going to build up these players for a few years. And, people say, oh, he hasn't been to a Final Four. The only game I can really remember is just the NCAA tournament, because he's horrible against zone. But
he is. Yeah, the zone.
The Xavier game when we're up by 8.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we're up by 8 with 3 minutes to
That's
go.
the one where like the
Markkinen didn't touch the ball. To me, that I totally blame him. But the thing is, though, is at the end of the game, he manned up and he said that was my bad. But the Wisconsin games, dude, you can't hold that against. You can't hold those
especially
against.
the second one. The second
both,
was tough, dude.
Both.
They were wet. Sam Decker, Kaminsky, Nigel Hayes.
Both. I mean, they went I think they went like 8 for 9 from the 3-point
turned
line.
into Michael Jordan.
Was just
and we were winning at halftime in both games. Games. But you can't. To me, you can't put those because
What about the Buffalo game with DeAndre and number one guy in the country? And you get blown out by Buffalo. Sure, it was. You could say bad matchup. They were shooting like crazy. They were just shooting like nuts. But
is that how much does a coach have? How much power does a coach have if you're getting blown out like that? Is that a? I mean, it
is on 19-year-olds. Like, they're just college students. Like,
but I mean, we were ranked number 2 to start that year, and we went unranked within a month.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like that team had some serious problems.
Yeah, a lot of potential though. Serious problems.
Hella potential. But if you, that team was hungry. That Buffalo team was hungry.
Yeah.
They were out talking shit. Lonzo, Raleigh, dude. I feel like they didn't give a shit.
Yeah,
tell you the truth, the way they played.
Yeah,
I mean, they just seemed dead out. I think is the team a version of the coach? Yes, but at that same token, it's like how much in that instance against Buffalo. If you're talking about that one game, if you want to talk about the team, okay, but if you're talking about that one game, you could talk about matchups or this and that, but they got blown out.
Yeah, from the jump,
there's only so much you can attribute that to Sean Miller.
From the
you
jump.
got to start attribute that to DeAndre. Dude, DeAndre Ayton got.
Yeah, he shouldn't have. Yeah,
exactly. And to me, it's like that's Sean Miller's fault. No, that's DeAndre Ayton being weak. So I mean, I'm not like crazy about Sean Miller, but I'm not a hater of Sean Miller because I mean, from the coaches we had and what he's, you know what I mean, from where we were left off. I think he did pretty good.
He's gone. I mean, he goes to the.
They were spoiled.
To the tournament almost every year
with Lute Olson. Every single year they were going to the tournament. It was never in question that they would go.
But you know, there's actually a lot of similarities between the two coaches. How many years was Lute Olson a coach at U of A before he made his first Final Four or got his first championship? It was a while.
I want to say before his when he got his first Final Four, I want to say he was like 8 years, 8 or 9. Yeah, 8 or 9 seasons.
11 for sure.
8 or 9.
But you know what I mean? You're talking about a 2 year. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know how many people at a 7th year, beginning of the 8th year. I mean, even the championship team, dude.
The program was built already for Sean Miller. Lute Olson had garbage. And I guess,
but you're forgetting about the years, the middle years in between. It wasn't. It didn't just go from. It didn't just go from Lute to Sean. Dude, we had some pretty shitty years in between of finding that coach. I mean, and what Sean Miller did at Xavier, dude. I mean, like I said. He has his holes.
He's just stubborn. That's the biggest thing to me is his stubbornness.
System. He has a system, and you play.
Yeah, you can't go.
To me, it's like I don't know why he's so bad at zone. That's the thing that irritates me the worst. It's like
it's a simple 2-3 zone, dude.
Like, dude, it's been your Achilles heel
forever.
You'd think you'd come up with some or build your team around. Or have like a rotation that is like built for
the zone,
for the zone. But
everybody knows that it's the Achilles heel. Everybody knows that it's his weakness, and for whatever reason, it's literally his kryptonite. Like he can't get over it. Teams know that. Teams will specifically that don't play zone against other teams. They'll play zone against us just because they know that for whatever reason we don't know what to do, and it shows. But his stubbornness. Like I think of good coaches like almost adapting their system to their players. And Sean Miller's the opposite, where Sean Miller wants the players to adapt to his system, and that's where kind of the stubbornness comes, and that's where kind of where people are.
I mean, but things like that work. I mean, look at Virginia, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
Like it works.
These systems. I mean, it's just to me, it's just.
I mean, he's a winning. Like he's won like 75% of his games. Like you can't knock him that. But when it push comes to shove, it's under pressure in the NCAA tournament. I mean, he's gotten to a couple of Elite Eights, right?
He was one Jamel Horn shot from making it to the Final Four.
In his second year, first year?
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? I think you need to give him so the first, 6 years were great. Yeah. We had the Wisconsin games. They could have gone either way. Once we lost to Xavier when we had Larry Markin, I think that's when we started going downhill. So I think we need to give him a little bit more credit. Yeah. And, if in the next 2 or 3 years, if it still keeps going down, it's like, okay. But I think we do need to, reminisce saying, we were one Jamel Horn shot away. You know what I mean? And didn't he shoot twice? Didn't Kevin Parham grab that rebound?
Yeah.
I think they
and then
he had
the
2
Nick
shots.
Johnson one right against Wisconsin.
That was a bullshit call, dude.
Well, so that was, but Nick Johnson didn't even get that shot off in time, or he didn't even shoot the 3. He had an open 3, and then he drove in. Yep. And I'm like, dude, shoot the fucking ball.
And even before then, right? He got the offensive foul, right? Where it was like that push.
And then they gave it back to us on some BS. But I mean. Dude, we had Rondé and Aaron Gordon right there, dude, for the tip-off.
That's a good point. I remember saying that, like, Aaron was right there, and as soon as he heard the whistle, he stopped. Like, he didn't.
Well, and, like, if you look at, I mean, like, the refs are one thing, but Nigel Hayes in that game hooks
I know.
all game.
Yep. No call.
All game, dude. And, like, oh, my gosh. Like, I remember Sam Decker had a few banks.
Yeah.
Threes, and I'm just like, dude, like.
You got lucky on those. Got lucky.
Yeah, dude. And you know what I mean? So we had three times where those games could have gone either way.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, nobody knew Wisconsin was going to, you know what I mean?
Know, right?
3 times we were half away.
There,
even right there from getting to the Final Four.
A couple minutes away.
Probably with Derek Williams, I think. I can't remember who Connecticut faced in the Final Four, but in the championship, I think they played freaking Butler. It was Butler and someone else who they played.
Was it
no? I think they played Florida.
Kemba Walker.
It was Butler. Nah, it was straight up Butler. It was.
I think Butler lost to Duke, before.
Right? The Gordon Hayward.
That was 11. I think Butler was in 08 and 09. They went back to back. I think it was.
Nah, 08, 09 is like Florida and like Mario Chalmers.
06, 07, and 0.
Mario Chalmers went to Kansas.
That's like 08 is like Kansas, dude. I want to say that it was Butler. I can't remember.
Butler against who? Who was it? Who were you talking about?
Connecticut.
Against UConn, against Kemba Walker's UConn.
Yes.
Butler against Kemba Walker's UConn in what year?
In 2011.
It was.
So I don't know who they played in the Final Four, but you're right. Like, let's say one shot away from maybe winning the national championship. Like,
well, and then too, if you look at
Eric Williams, dude, that year was they whomped
Duke. They beat Duke. Yeah, I remember that, dude. That was probably my favorite game.
They were crying, dude. The Duke players were crying.
Well, the first year we faced Wisconsin, we had Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, that was the TJ McConnell.
That was our year. I mean, people discredit him, dude. And we were number one we were number one ranked in the country until late February, dude.
Until Brandon Ashley
against Cal. Against Cal.
Yep.
I remember it too.
He got injured.
He got injured, and then we lost that game.
And then we lost to ASU right after
Valentine's
too.
So I mean, you look at that tournament, it's like, dude, if we had Brandon Ashley, we were easily the number one team in the nation. We played that tournament without our starting power forward, and he spaced the floor great because he was a power forward, dude. His mid-range was nasty.
He would have been on Kaminsky.
He could shoot. Ashley, dude. He could shoot. Brandon Ashley definitely had a mid-range. Like, you felt confident. Like, whenever he had in the mid-range and he was putting up a shot, you were like confident that he was going to make it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think people forget this about Sean Miller, and like I said,
there's a lot of different factors, you know.
Like I said, has the last few years been shitty? Yes, but I think it also has to do with the scandal, and I think the scandal in itself is pretty ridiculous. I mean, they say they have Sean Miller. ESPN comes out saying they have Sean Miller on wiretap.
Yeah.
And okay, where? They've been saying that for over 2 years. Over 2 years, nobody said. I mean, no, it's. Am I saying that U of A is innocent? Hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no. I think it's pretty obvious. But this is my logic. So people are coming out scrutinizing U of A for cheating when a lot of times their college basketball teams.
Zion. It just came out, dude. That whole Zion thing. And Duke is prestigious. And Mike Krzyzewski is such an elite guy. He's so perfect. He's not cheating. And
well, even before that, that's a great point. But even before that, my logic was, okay, so who were the big players that got in trouble? It was U of A, USC, Miami, and I think LSU.
Alabama, Colin Sexton was thrown in.
I think LSU too.
Louisville,
but it's like okay, look at it. U of A out of all those teams easily gets the most.
Was the poster boy. Like, we were the poster boy.
For sure.
But if you look at it, so out of all those 5 teams we listed, U of A easily gets the highest recruits out of that. Okay.
Yep.
Why, if only those teams are paying those recruits, why wouldn't all those schools have top-notch recruiting classes?
Exactly.
Why? Yeah. Like, why you think that, all these high number, Kentucky recruits, Duke recruits aren't going to go to other programs that are willing to pay them, especially because, like Kelly Oubre or something like that, where they're facing poverty. You know what I mean? They're offering you $150,000.
I'm going to go to Duke just because it's Duke while this other school is giving me a house.
So it's just like, okay, but it's pretty obvious that it's not just this. Like I said, I'm not saying that we're innocent by far, but you would see, if that were the case, if it was only those schools, you would be seeing every single top recruit divided between those 5 teams equally. But it's not. The only one really out of those that were getting top recruits was U of A. Yeah. And even then, they were getting beat out by Duke and Kentucky.
Exactly.
And it's like,
you mean to tell
Kansas,
me that I can go to Arizona, get a house over here at Arizona, but no, I'm going to go to Duke just because of just because of the name on the jersey.
Because of Coach K, it doesn't, It's like,
money's
it's a culture. Line. It's a culture. And if the schools don't do it, they're going to get left behind. Yep. I think that's why you're seeing more and more stuff come out.
And I will give him credit, dude. I liked Sean Miller's response to all that stuff, straight up. And then the next game, ESPN, you remember, all of it came out, and then we played Oregon, I want to say, and he didn't coach that game. He wasn't suspended or anything, but the U of A just felt like it wasn't the right decision to have him coach after it just blew up in his face. And then the next game he came back, he had this press conference. You remember, he just roasted ESPN, just called them straight up. Didn't say it directly, but he was basically insinuating that it was all fake. And then the next game, all the U of A students in the section had ESPN is fake news. It was beautiful. Like, I liked that because it was just, instead, you never admit guilt. That's the number. Never do it. Doesn't matter, especially to the public. Never admit guilt, even if you did do it.
See, I disagree. To me, like I said, I like to own up to shit.
Yeah.
So it's
take
like
responsibility.
If I got caught red-handed, I'd be like,
but
you know what I mean?
In the court of like law, like you just never, even if you did completely.
It depends on what it is. I mean, it depends on what the sentences. I mean, if I'm Book facing prison, it's like well, it depends. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah. It's a sticky situation.
Yeah, because Book Richardson, is he in jail right now?
No, he's not, dude. I'm pretty sure he like talked or something. And
really?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know, but I think he's.
Yeah, because he was one of the guys, like, his name was going around. He's the assistant coach, and he was one of the guys. I think he was facing prison time.
Sport agent guy, the guy who was doing
Richard Dawkins?
Yeah, that sounds
Christian
very Dawkins.
Dawkins.
Yeah,
Christian Dawkins.
there it is.
Yeah, there you go.
That guy was like the ringleader or something, and he was the one who was in contact.
Was he the Adidas executive?
Well, that's the thing that doesn't make sense. It's like Arizona's a Nike school.
Yeah.
Why? Like, you know what I mean? Why? It's, I don't know. It's all of it's, you know what I mean? All of it is.
And it's been years, dude.
Yeah, and nothing's come out. And ESPN hasn't retracted that statement, or you know what I mean? It's like, that killed our recruits because I mean,
Sharif O'Neal.
I mean, granted, the recruits ended up like looking out like they weren't really that good anyways. Like Sharif O'Neal.
Yeah, Sharif O'Neal really.
What is it? Nas Little. You had that one point guard who went to Villanova but then transferred.
Oh yeah, I know exactly the Jelly guy. What's his name? I think I know exactly.
Yeah, Jelly. There you go.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. He's a small guy.
Yeah, but I mean
he looked good, right?
Yeah.
In hindsight, like
in hindsight, I think for U of A fans, I think you need to say, I think you need to give Sean Miller another chance. I think he's, like I said, the first 6-7 years were great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The last few years, I've been shitty, but I mean, it's not. I mean, look at what's been going down. You know what I mean? With
Chase Jeter was our best player like a couple years ago on that team. Who was it? I think it was Chase Jeter.
It was Acott, right?
Acott. No,
Brandon
it was
Randolph.
Before Nico.
Randolph.
Well, Randolph. Yeah, we had Randolph. It was Chase Jeter.
Acott.
But I mean, that was the year. I mean, you can 100% contribute that to that ESPN article because we lost all of our recruits that year. So he had to.
Luckily, Brandon Williams.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He had to do some last minute shuffling, and the fact that we got the class that we did.
Ryan Luther, right? Ryan Luther, that was the year Ryan Luther was on the team.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, but you know what I mean? The fact that he was able to do stuff on such short notice, I commended him. And yeah, we sucked that season, but we were still okay. Like, you know what I mean? We were last in the Pac-12. Like, how many other teams would have had that same season had they lost all their recruits and all their stuff?
Yeah,
and that was the year we'd lost our whole starting five.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we had lost our whole starting five. We just lost all our recruits, and we still ended up, I forgot, I don't.
Yeah, probably
we were like
middle in the pack. That's what I was about to say.
But that's pretty damn good if you ask me.
Considering,
you know what, I mean? What happened. Yeah. And then, last year just was shit. And you know what I mean? It was. But even if it was, I'm kind of glad it was shit because we didn't have the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
So I would have been pissed if we were like super good. I mean, our hearts out to all the freaking players out there, man, that, didn't get to, but
they work so hard and then the March Madness gets canceled and everything.
Yeah, So, I mean, I have faith in Sean Miller. I think he'll get the job. And if he doesn't in the next 2 or 3 years, I think for sure we need to get rid of him.
What do you think about paying players? What were you going to say, Dave?
I was going to say, like, if you're a Sean Miller guy, then did you see Jason Terry just got hired?
I did.
So, I mean,
I think that's dope.
Like,
I know.
Let's say right now on the spot, you just fire Sean Miller. Jason Terry's the new coach.
No, where is he coached?
Nowhere, but I don't know.
You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, just because somebody's a good, you want Dennis Rodman? You want Dennis Rodman as a coach?
Person.
Do you want?
Doesn't hurt too that he's like a black guy too, and he's going to all like what you were saying, poverty, like a guy who understands more, who goes like, let's say I'm saying if I had a kid who was playing basketball, who would I want to come over and recruit like Sean Miller or Jason Terry? Like Jason Terry is definitely a lot more pretty.
Yeah, but I mean, we never seen him coach. So if, say he's our assistant coach for a couple years and then Sean Miller's still doing ass, but we notice that, Terry was doing something, I would be 100% for,
going into Jason Terry. But you're saying, so like right now you wouldn't want Jason Terry or just because he hasn't proven himself.
If I were a lower level university and our, U of A program wasn't so prestigious, yeah, we're in a down year. I would take the risk, but you know what I mean? Imagine you hire Jason Terry and you know what I mean? What if we go bottom of the Pac-12. You know what I mean? That's a big risk for somebody that's never, from my knowledge, has coached. Yeah, 18 years in the league, one of the greatest 3-point. He has the making. He could potentially have the makings of a good coach, but you don't know that until he coaches.
Right.
I mean, and I think this is why he's trying to get his coaching career started.
And he was the most vocal when everything went down for the scandals. Like I remember him like straight up saying, "Oh, Sean Miller's an outsider. We should get rid of him. Hire somebody on the inside. Like we shouldn't have Sean Miller here." So it almost makes me think, and I think you mentioned it, David, where it was like it wasn't really Sean Miller's decision to hire him on the team.
Well, it's a great publicity thing too. You know what I mean?
Especially it attracts a lot of like people and
yeah.
Like
well,
that.
And then like with recruits, you know what I mean? If Jason Terry's coming in my front door, that's badass. You know what I mean? The player who not only is he recruiting me, but he's recruiting me for the school that he went to
and won a championship.
It's like okay, maybe this school, that was over 20 years ago. Maybe this school has something to offer if this dude is still, is still active, still vocal, and took a job wanting to, you know what I mean? To me, like that's, and I think eventually, like I said, I'm not closing the door on Jason Terry eventually being it. I just think, give Sean Miller those extra 2 or 3 years. If things don't work out, then promote him. And then, you know what I mean? Yeah. I just think, especially with this, I'm interested to see what Sean Miller is going to do with this new crop. I don't think we should expect us to be like high
Final Four.
Next year, but the year after maybe. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because players still got to develop. Like Koloko, like you said, like it's definitely interesting to see Christian Koloko.
Williams is gone, right? Brandon Williams is gone, right? Like
he transferred? Did he?
No.
I know that he was hurt last year.
He was considering not coming back because he had something with his knee or something. I hadn't heard anything about transferring.
Right, because he was hurt all season. He was probably one of our best players.
I don't see him transferring either because I follow him on Twitter and he's very
like Arizona because he committed to Arizona. Then that scandal came out and then he decommitted, but then he recommitted
almost
again.
like 2 weeks ago later.
Yeah. So it wasn't. Yeah, so
he's already gone through all that. I don't see him transferring, especially with his injury and stuff. Like,
yeah, it seems like, and he really enjoys being here. He really enjoys Arizona.
Yeah, just this article, it says Arizona guard Brandon Williams will definitely play next season. It's just a matter of where.
Who wrote that?
Arizona Desert Storm, SB Nation.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean,
you never know.
Yeah, I don't really see him.
So it's up in the air.
Is what
this, or just by the
according to this article, right?
It's just up in the air.
I hope he stays because I think he is.
Me too. Yeah, I really liked how he plays. I like Brandon Williams a lot. He seemed like a good player, but I mean, back to that question, like, what do you think about possibly paying players? I know it's difficult because the whole scandal was over the payment of players. So if paying players was allowed, then there would be no scandal. But at the same time, I know that it's a lot of complications if a school goes and pays their athletes that are amateurs, right? I remember the NCAA president at one time said that these college athletes are amateurs, and they're amateurs because we don't play them, and we don't pay them because they're amateurs. So it's almost like a circular, like, kind of argument. But that's the NCAA president saying that, so it doesn't seem like they're going to be paying their players at any time.
Well, I think it's more to do with the NBA than the NCAA because, I mean, it's the NBA's rule that they can't go straight from high school to college anymore.
Yeah,
they have that one sit-out play
right?
role. And the way I looked at it is I think it's funny is, all these college players come out and say, oh, we should have got paid. It's damn well when you signed your letter, your intent to sign, you weren't going to get paid.
Yeah.
And at the same token, it's, look at the benefits. To me, it always...
More exposure.
But I mean, playing in the NCAA is a huge investment.
Yeah.
I mean, look at all the players that, weren't even considered. I mean, think Damian Lillard would have gotten drafted out of high school?
I know, he went to Weber State, dude.
Hell no. You think...
and he's a top 10 pick,
Curry,
I think.
Dude,
yeah.
Curry. He wouldn't have hopped on that scene.
That was like his only scholarship offer also was from Davidson. I mean, then look at CJ McCollum. It's just... It's a huge investment in my mind, and it's just like... going in, you're not going to get paid. So you shouldn't be complaining later on that you got paid.
You made the commitment knowing that you're not going to get.
And yeah, I mean, I think they definitely have a gripe saying, oh, the NCAA is making all this money, this and that, whatever. What I think should happen, well, I'm kind of torn in a sense because I think a lot of sports in the NCAA lose a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a bunch of sports that other sports
make money, they
lose a lot of money. And so a lot of the times, like, the football, basketball, they're all paying Yeah, I'm sure they're making money, a bunch of money, but they're also paying for other sports to function. And I think, you know what I mean? That's some people's livelihoods right there. What I don't think is acceptable is that I'm pretty sure the NCAA is a nonprofit. And I think that's ridiculous. I think no, I don't think they should get paid, but I definitely think they should be paying taxes and shit.
The only thing is the likeness. You said it. I remember we were talking about it. You can't pay like in terms of, I don't know, like income or salary. Like let's say, because like you were saying, you have to pay the football quarterback. You're not going to pay him the same as a golf player or as a water polo player. You're going to pay, if you're going to, pay college athletes.
Like capitalism, like actually bring capitalism into the NCAA.
There's no way you're going to pay the star quarterback of a college football team the same as a track star or something. So it has to be likeness, like the Olympics. Like if some other company is willing to give you money because they like you and you're skilled enough in your game or your, I don't know.
Just like you're just able to bring more attention to their company, like an outside company.
They're not going to do it as a loss of money. They're investing in you. You're going to end up in turn making them money. So it's their risk, like, I don't know. And then you can't get mad at that track star that thinks that they deserve money when it's like, hey, you're not attracting the attention. So I don't know.
And the money they're going to be demanding, I mean, you'd have to probably put like a cap, some sort of cap. There's a lot of schools that probably can't even afford afford to play.
And that's what he comes in here. And what he said is like, well, the schools, the universities, they shouldn't directly pay the players because it is a lot of complications. It is like, you got to determine how much does this athlete get versus this other like smaller sport athlete get. So he's saying like bring in like an outside company, like advertisement. Let's say
they should be able to get like endorsed by like, so Nike should be able to come in and say, you know what I mean?
Yeah, let me get you this, or even like local companies, like something local, like a tire shop here,
or signing autographs, or signing autographs, or like doing stuff like that.
If you're willing to pay me $100,000 for my autograph in college,
why can't I? Yeah, because that's you know what I mean. This is my time to shine. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So that seems like the best model, but
wasn't there there was that female swimmer who was like. She was like in high school, I think, but she was like an Olympic.
Oh, Missy Franklin, maybe? Was that her name?
She went to like UCLA. Well, she committed to UCLA, so people were like considering, like wondering if she was going to commit to UCLA. But then they were like going like, is she considered an amateur? Is she like?
Because she's in the pro and she's winning, right? She was like the one that was
she
winning.
Was like crushing stuff. It's like, how do you not endorse her? How, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I agree. And the other thing too is I kind of want like that endorsement deal you guys are saying because I miss like NCAA basketball video games, dude.
I know.
If you could have EA Sport pay, you know what I mean? Pay.
Yep.
Oh my God, dude, I would be on that video game in a heartbeat. A lot of
people happy. Everybody on the team, like let's say obviously DeAndre Ayton, but let's say he's in college. Obviously, you're gonna like he's on the cover, right? Let's say you put that dude on the cover, he's gonna make more money. But let's say you're DeAndre Ayton's backup and you're in the game too, like you're still gonna get a little check,
like
a little something.
And what are you gonna say? No, I don't want to be in the game. It's like, okay, well, we're not going to give you any money.
And they're college. I mean, we've all been college students.
Yeah.
Even if it's like $1,000, dude.
Anything will help.
Yeah, like,
anything will help.
And I think that's dope to be in a video game. It's like it's a win-win.
Yeah, I know. So. I remember they were kind of like back in the day when those games were out, like they would get away with it by just like putting number 22 or he's a point guard. It would look like the player would have the same number and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
They wouldn't put their name in there.
And I think they got sued though. Because it's still their likeness.
Yeah,
it's just not because their name, but
it's like them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but even then, I don't see why like an NC game can't come out where they don't, you know what I mean? Don't use any of the likeness. They're just like a random generator.
Yeah.
And just have the teams that are, good, have the better player. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But obviously,
I would still be about that.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, you might have the claim that, people are going to buy the game and then just like download, because you can put like you can download rosters on on the 2Ks. Like
people create their own rosters.
Yeah, it's like well, that's still kind of technically their likeness. So I mean,
it goes.
I don't know. I think the best route for that would be for the for the NCAA to loosen up the rules on what an amateur is.
Yeah,
because I mean,
like they're
getting paid for their
directly.
likeness. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just exactly. They're not paying for them, so who cares?
If somebody else from the outside wants to do it, dude, it's just like capitalism, dude. It's just the way that the world is. Like that's the way it should be.
And like that Chris Webber argument and kind of DeAndre Ayton. Chris Webber, I think in the Fab 5 documentary, they were like, dude, Chris Webber, they got him on a dime. Like DeAndre Ayton for $100,000, you got him on a dime, dude. He's worth millions. Like he's worth millions. What he brought into the school in revenue, and I'm sure he brought in a lot more than $100,000.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so we got him cheap. But dude, I mean, it's up 2 hours, dude. 2 hours 18 right now. Should we go into the beer? Or you want
to try that beer, dude?
Yeah, you want to? You down for that beer? All right, dude. So we're going to the beer review. Today, let's see what we got. We got Wolf. What is it? Wolf Pup IPA. Give me a second.
You said Gold Wave, right? It was like a.
Oh, that was the Golden.
Oh, that's the brewing company. So yeah, Golden Road Brewing.
Wolf Pup Session IPA, and I think you said that the brewery was in LA, right?
Yeah. So
and they claim to be like the biggest brewery in LA.
That's true. Yep. So Wolf Pup Session IPA by Golden Road Brewing.
It is an IPA, and I just throw it out there. I do like IPAs. So
yeah,
it
we're big fans of IPAs here, dude.
Might be a little biased, so take the review.
Crack it open, dude. Crack it open. Yeah, we are IPA lovers. Not like Chowder from the last episode.
Yeah. Wheat, Mandarin. This beer, yeah. I think I said that with the St. Archer's review that I almost want to give it 2 scores. Like the St. Archer's like a light beer kind of. So I'm not going to like it as much as an IPA no matter what.
Yeah, because we did the St. Archer's Gold and we gave it like 2 ratings. So what we did is like we rated it in terms of like overall beer, like what would we grab it from the store, like overall beer, and then we also rated it as a light beer. But this, I mean, I don't know, I don't know if we want to do that or not, because
it looks better than the previous.
It definitely does.
It's fizzier. It's not as clear. It's definitely a little cloudy. The foam, IPA. I like the foam.
It does look like a lighter IPA, because IPAs are usually darker, right?
They're usually darker. It smells kind of orangey. You're right.
Well,
citrusy.
Cheers,
it smells like
cheers.
Citrusy.
It does smell really good, actually. I like the smell of it.
It smells like a really good IPA, yeah.
So yeah, Golden Road Brewing. I kind of like that, but it's not really hoppy. It's 4.8%. So it's
pretty
not that
weak for an IPA.
Yeah, it's not that high.
I could drink it though for sure.
This doesn't taste weak.
Honestly,
like, to be honest, I don't taste like. I immediately was going in like this is gonna be a weaker IPA, and I don't really taste it.
I feel like it's a weaker IPA. I feel like it has a strong finish. But I think going in doesn't have that bite.
This is good.
Normally have.
This is really good. The previous beer, if you had all paid attention to our last episode, we didn't really shit on it as much as we should, because that beer was disgusting, dude. The wheat mandarin
wasn't that bad.
No, it was disgusting, dude. Don't give it any credit. That was bad.
I like this one actually.
This is like a perfect IPA, like at a beach or like by the pool.
Very drinkable. It's not like gives you a bitter taste. Like you can chug the shit out of this beer.
I think if you're not into IPAs but you've been interested, I feel like this would be a good.
That's a good point.
A good way to bridge the bridge the gap.
Just like a little opening opens the door.
You don't like IPAs.
To who?
Gavin.
What's up, Gavin?
Gavin.
Start drinking. Oh, Davin. What's up, Davin? Start drinking IPAs. This is a good one. It will lead you into it. Because it is kind of light. It's not as harsh. The taste isn't that harsh.
Dude, does it say that on the can? It says hoppy.
I like the smell of it a lot, actually, too.
I really like this beer, though.
Dude, yeah, this beer is good.
I like it, too. It's foamy, dude. I really like it. I do like it. It's
refreshing.
It definitely tastes like IPA, though, but it is kind of like not as harsh as like a normal IPA would taste. You do get that little...
Yeah, you definitely get that
IPA.
The bite at the end, but it's not like that whole... Like I said, I think this would... For someone who... I mean, I drink all type of IPAs. I think if you... I mean, it's definitely an acquired taste, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you want to, grow some nuts, but if you want
get some hair on your chest,
if anybody's interested in wanting to just try and drink IPAs, but they're a little too harsh, I think this would be a really good IPA to start off with.
They describe the brewing company on their website, they describe it as hoppy and refreshing. So it says Wolf Pup is our riff. I don't know what riff really means, like their take on a session IPA. It says it's highly drinkable, like what David said, with a wildly aroma, tropical character. It's the perfect companion to keep on sipping for those long sunny days, which is what you mentioned earlier. We described that perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it.
It
could use a little bit more of a bite, but I'm not.
Yeah, for sure.
Still, I mean, I might pick it up next time I go.
It is good. Yeah, I think I got it at Fry's.
Yeah, this is pretty good, dude.
It is. Yeah, I think I got it at Fry's maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, but I like it a lot. 4.8. I can't remember what the IBUs is. I don't really know what IBUs is. I think IBUs I think the number, what it was like 45 IBUs. And I think IBUs is like bitterness, like a bitterness rating.
Though. Like we still don't get that rating. Someone should explain to us that rating, because I think if you have a lower score, it can be more bitter than something with a higher score. I don't know. Like, I don't know how it works.
I guess it's just more like subjective. I guess the IBU is more like because obviously the alcohol content is the truth. Like, and IBUs is more like because that's what it is. IBU stands for like International Bitterness Unit. So it's almost like a subjective thing where it's like somebody like drinks it. It's like, oh yeah, this is a 45 bitterness or whatever. It's not something that's really defined or true. It's just somebody's like opinion, or maybe a group of like beer experts come together and they just like determine how much IBUs, or I don't really know, but I'm pretty sure I read where it said it was like 45 IBUs, and the last one that we had was like 12. But this one is way better.
Way better.
Even though
this one's really
even
good.
Though supposedly the rating of the bitterness is higher on this beer, this one is definitely better than the other one.
Well, and too, because I mean, you said you're a pretty avid IPA drinkers, right? I love IPA. So
yeah,
I think it's something coming from us that we're
it's true. Yeah, we do have a little bit of bias.
Obviously, like you said, if you don't have that built up taste for IPA and you take a swig of this, even though it's sort of weak, like we were saying, you're still gonna be like, ugh. Like I remember I ordered a local beer, a Dragoon, at a restaurant, and one of my friends was just like, "You drink that stuff?" It's like yeah.
Like I've had the exact same reaction. I was with my buddy. We went to this bar, and I hadn't seen him in a while because he was in the Marines. We go to this bar, and I order Lagunitas, which is either that
this
or
one's
Dragoon.
Definitely harsher. Like a Lagunitas is definitely harsher than this.
Yeah. So Dragoon and Lagunitas, they're pretty similar, I would say.
Yeah.
But they're a lot harsher.
Dragoon's a little bit stronger.
Yeah, exactly. But I ordered a Lagunitas, and my buddy ordered a Bud Light, and he's like, "Oh, you're one of those guys, huh?"
And like, "Oh, you're one of those."
I'm like, dude, it takes like two of these to fill a buzz, dude, and it's it's a little bit more, but economically, it's
you're saving
better.
money. Yeah.
Well, then like 3 months later, he came back again. We decided to go to the same bar. Dude orders an IPA, and I'm like, "Oh, bro, see?"
It's like, "Oh, you were shitting on me not too long ago, and now you're on the wave now."
You don't have to be a hipster either. It's like IPAs.
Dude. I mean, it's a really nice beer, dude. I enjoy this a lot. Wolf Pup. I wish it was a little bit stronger, like you keep mentioning, but it's good, dude. It's nice, refreshing. I like it. Golden Road Brewing. They have
around the pool, dude. Oh man, I'd be killing these, dude.
Yeah. I like it a lot. Yeah, but the company is the brewing company Golden Road's based in Los Angeles, California, and they do state that they are the largest brewing company in LA, or that they're the LA's largest brewery. I'm kind of
interested to see what other type of
to see what else they have.
Yeah, because I was really impressed by this one.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
What's the ranking? So obviously, like we said, maybe 2 rankings in terms of IPA, like. The only thing is that if you told me this can was 7% alcohol and it tasted exactly the same, man, I would fucking love this beer.
Yeah, no,
I love this beer.
I agree. Like I said, I would be down to go pick up a 6-pack. Honestly, like I said, I plan on drinking this again.
I want to say, I don't know. In terms of IPA, like I don't know. Like IPA, I don't know if we want to give 2 scores. I'm giving both 9 out of 10.
The thing with IPAs, in my opinion, is you're supposed to have that bite. It's supposed to be stronger.
Right. It is, and darker almost too.
The only take. So I would probably give this like an 8 or 8.5.
And we're not even hitting on the taste, or we're not hitting on anything like that. We're just hitting on it just not being strong.
The taste is
just
great.
not being
really
like
good.
more
the
alcohol.
Smell is great. It was just if it was just had a little bit more kick, a little bit more punch. Mm-hmm. I'd probably give this a 10. But just to me, I'm probably going an 8.5 just because IPAs are supposed to be stronger.
Yeah, right.
Just because they're supposed to have more kick. That's the point of IPAs. Mm-hmm. Because this one doesn't, that's why I'm going to go with the 8.5.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the 8.5 because I really like this. I really like this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the 8. I'm going to rate it an 8. I like it a lot. Like I feel like I feel like a 9 is, I don't know, for me, like a 9 is just a little bit too high.
It does
I feel
sound
like
crazy. When I said it, I was like,
no, but if you like it, I mean, if that's your first reaction, right? If that's what you're gonna go with, and you can go with a 9, like, you know, maybe we can look at other IPAs and maybe change our mind later on. But this one is definitely, I would say this one's definitely the best beer that we've tried so far on the podcast.
What did you say the rating? You said it had a poor rating.
What do you mean?
You said compared to the other one. Did you guys look at the rating?
You get a little bit. I didn't hear that.
The ratings. Didn't you say the one yesterday was rated higher?
No. Yes. So the one yesterday we did. Not yesterday. The previous episode. We did 2 because that one was what was it? A Mandarin wheat is what it was called. So I don't really know what that is, but it really wasn't that good. Like
just like do you guys like?
So we did
Blue
2
Moons and stuff. Like, are you guys?
Yeah.
I can mess with it. So then in that case, it was shit.
Immediately, what I reacted was I said it tasted like a jewel pod, and that's what.
Yeah, Chowder said it was like shisha. He's like, it kind of tastes like shisha, or like a hookah or something.
Like fruity, but you have these fruity beers, like a sour fruity beer is still good. Like it doesn't. That one was like, it felt fake. It felt. It was just like flat. It was really flat. It was just like a flat beer, like no foam, like no. It just almost like it died. Like the smell was way better than what it actually tasted like. Like it just died in your mouth almost. It felt like it just like left no kind of. Like, I don't know, like taste or anything.
You said it was Uncle Bear's?
Uncle Bear's, yeah. Uncle Bear's Brewing.
They have a
Mandarin wheat.
I've never tried it.
But I know they have a peanut butter porter.
Oh, yeah? I've heard about that, too.
It kind of turns me off either review. It's kind of just like...
Yeah.
And to me, like that kind of beer anyways, just from the sound of it.
Yeah,
it's
like a porter.
There's certain like drinks where it's like, it's good, but you can only have one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like... So to me, that like sour beer is the same way for me. It's like, it's good, but I'm only going to have, like, one of these.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I like sours. I'm on like opposite sides of the spectrum. Like I like sours a lot, and then I also like IPAs, which they're 2 completely different beers.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I like sours as well, but it's one of those things. To me, it's just like
you can only have
one and done.
Stomach kind of like it's like a little bit just
just the taste too. It's just like, all right, it's like I need something. You know what I mean?
It just like messing with your taste buds and stuff. It just like.
To me, I'm pretty.
You're solid on IPAs.
Honestly, like I'll drink. I like everything, dude. Like so when I go places, I'm like, oh, what do you want to drink? It's like, dude, whatever you have. Like, you want me to go? It's like, dude, whatever you got, I'm fucking good. The only thing I really don't like, and I don't know why, because everybody loves it, is Michelob Ultra. It's just like to me, it's like. I'll drink other light beers.
Yeah, it pretty much tastes like nothing.
Like I like other light beers. I'm perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people like to talk shit because it's whatever. But Bud Light, Coors Light. I mean, to me, it's beer. You know what I mean? It's do I like this more than other stuff?
Like a Bud Light and a Miller Light. Exactly, it tastes like beer.
But Michelob Ultra, when I drink it, I just.
Yeah.
It tastes, oh man, like, that's the only time if somebody offers me beer, that's the only beer.
That's the one that you're just
that's the only one where I'm like,
I'd rather drink water.
You know what I mean? Because exactly, to me,
give me a shot.
I like beer, I do, but the end goal for me is, is to get buzzed, to get, drunk and stuff. So every type of beer,
we'll get you there
we'll get you there. So to me, it's like, well, you know what I mean? It's gonna, whatever, I'll drink it, but Michelob Ultra is the only beer so far.
Yeah,
I might try something else, but
those light beers, if they suck, dude, just a fuck ton of lime. Always, I feel like
it's because we're Mexican. That's why we put the lime in it.
A crap ton of lime.
Man, I'm Mexican beers, dude.
Like Tecate with lime.
Dos Equis.
Tecate Blue is gross.
Tecate Dos Equis, Corona.
Ooh. Dude, Modelo.
Dude, I love Modelo, dude. Me too.
I like Especial and the
Negra.
But,
I love Modelo
Dos Equis,
too.
Dude. I love Dos Equis, Pacifico. I mean, I would say my IPA probably edges out Mexican beer just by a tad, but oh man, I love Mexican beer. Very close second.
Yeah, dude, me too. I don't think I'm with
everything else. I don't really. I mean,
I like beer's beer, right?
Yeah, like I said, beer's beer.
Like Blue Moon, like those sort of stuff.
Dude, I'll fuck up some Blue Moon. Like I said, I'm not really picky, dude. It's just the only time is just like
the Michelob. Huh?
Well, then there's, like I said, those are beers where I'll have one, but it's like, nah, I'm gonna go this way. But
that's why I feel like kind of with like the porters, like those.
Shit.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's beer. Yeah.
Give me some. Give me some. But yeah, dude, you gave it what'd you say? You gave it
I'd say
8.5.
8.5.
You gave it a 9. Yeah, I went with the 8. So everybody's giving it high scores. But again, we are IPA drinkers. But like Dom said,
if you're not,
it's a good one. It's a good one to open you up to, because it is an acquired taste. Like obviously the first time you drink one, it's a different taste than a normal beer. Like then.
If you're interested in getting into people, why do people like IPAs? It's just, high alcohol content. They taste gross. To me, because I'm actually a bartender, jack of all trades, pharmacist.
Yeah, he does it all. Yeah, he gives you the fresh fades. Yeah, he does it all.
My reasoning is one, it pairs with almost any food because it's bitter.
Yeah. So
there's certain beers you don't want to pair with certain things. Kind of like wine. Certain wines pair with certain foods.
Mm-hmm.
IPAs will you can eat it with almost
with
you can drink
a nice steak
with anything,
or like you want to switch it up. You want to go to seafood or something like that. Yep. Like it'll pair well with it with almost anything. Yeah.
So IPAs are more expensive, but like I said, you get two.
It's worth it. Yeah.
You get 2 of them. You down them. Yeah. I guarantee you're gonna feel a slight buzz. Yeah. When you probably need 4 light beers or something else, and by the 2 IPAs, 4 light beers, you're probably paying more for the 4 light beers.
Yeah.
So it's true. And like I said, you start to like it.
Yeah, you do.
It is an acquired taste for sure.
Yeah.
But you start to.
Yeah, once you get that acquired taste, it's almost like you can't. I mean, you can go back, but it's almost like that's still
kind of. What's the point? Because you're saving money, you're saving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have to, because once you take a leak, once you break that seal, dude, it's all over. So if you drinking some with more punch, with more.
Yeah, you're not going to go to the bathroom more.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, once I'm probably the worst, dude. It still breaks, dude. I'm 6-7 times, dude, freaking taking a leak. But it's you're not drinking as much to get to that point, and that could turn some people on.
Yeah, for sure. I really like it though. It's a good beer. Definitely, I think it's definitely the best one that we've had so far, and I'll definitely get it again. Like that's for sure. Again, it's Golden Road Brewing Wolf Pup Session IPA. So
I'm actually very interested to check out
LA based. Yeah, 4.8 I think is the alcohol percentage, which isn't that high, right? But it's a decent amount, right? It'll get the job done. But yeah, dude, I think we're at the end of the road here. I mean, anything else you guys want to talk about? Nothing?
No, I just want to thank you guys for having me on.
Game over. Cool. Yeah, no, thank you, dude. Appreciate the love, dude. We'll definitely have you guys. We'll have you on again. Hopefully, like one of these days, we'll just have like a podcast where we just all drink together and just like go through and talk our shit and have all the homies and stuff like that all together. So we'll see.
One time for Isaac though, fuck the Cowboys.
Dude, Isaac has to get a rebuttal, man.
Yeah,
Isaac needs to come on, but yeah, dude, we're at the end of the road, man. Appreciate it, man. I love you, dude. Thanks for everything, man. And we're out here, man. So peace, man. We'll see you guys next time.